Thank you for listening to and watching the Dreaming Insomniacs, the podcast. Today we have extremely special guest, Jaime Bennington. Hi, Jamie. How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing well. I'm in a creative mood, so I'm a little behind everything, but I'm happy to be here.
No worries. We're just happy to have you here. So, where do you want to get started? Do you want to start light and then get into it, or it's up to you?
You lead me, man. You're
Okay.
my trip master today.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So the last time we did a stream was on your Instagram, at the
Mm-hmm.
Picture Pieces Archive,
Yeah.
and now it has almost 30,000 views, which is crazy.
I haven't looked back at it since because I've been embedded in so many other things. But I'm happy to hear that that's such a heavy hitter.
I couldn't
That was a
believe it,
fun
man.
conversation.
Yeah, well, it's a 3 hour long live stream, so I'm surprised like people sat and watched it.
It's like a 3 hour live stream, and it's the second part of the live stream that I was
Yeah.
holding for the community that week or that day. So that's crazy that what I found too is like people are actually sitting through the Linkin Park video. Both of them. Well, I guess I did
Good.
3 of them. But I've been watching as people have been like what's the word? Leveling out the views. Because at first I was like, man, they only watched the first half of that initial From Zero response, and then I saw people were like finally watching it, and I was like, oh fuck, this is crazy.
Yeah, even the one
Um,
on your YouTube channel just got like 2,000 views, which is better views than you were getting before
right,
that.
yeah, and I was holding 80 to 100 people the entire time, and that's a 4 hour live stream. That's insane.
That's awesome. That is hard to
Yeah,
do. That is
it,
really hard to do.
it's
I mean,
it's 4 hours. What the hell is that?
crazy. It's
And then people
crazy.
are watching the whole thing on their own again,
I
and
feel like a dick. I haven't had the time to watch the whole thing, but I
it's
I, I have
okay.
been taking it in pieces.
Trust
So
me, we've already talked about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have personally.
It was
Um,
my all that new one is just my personal feelings on what I was experiencing with the
this whole
show
thing
and
is
the
fucked
and
up.
the social media drop and all that. So, it's really truly an opinion piece, like all the other
Yeah,
Let's Talks, minus the one I did on Sean firing Mace from the band,
also
Gray
fucked
Days,
up. This whole
which
situation.
is yeah, this whole thing. It's, yeah.
The there's a lot of people shitting on you in the comments. Not as many as you would think, but I've come to your defense in there.
I've
I
seen
don't
it.
know if, yeah,
Yeah,
I figured you would.
I
There's just a
appreciate it.
bunch of kids hiding or Scientologists behind stock accounts with no subscribers or credibility. It's ridiculous.
I was thinking about that, and yesterday on Steph's Rock podcast, I had was it yesterday?
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Holy shit.
No worries.
Okay,
I have those leaks.
yesterday on Steph's Rock podcast, I was describing a different a different reality where because I kind of view the LP fan base as being split into two camps. There's the industry hungry Mike Shinoda types, and then there's the bleeding heart Chester types, and the Mike Shinoda types. I feel like a lot of them are bleeding hearts, but they've been so jaded. I was thinking about the interactions I've been getting, and I was like, a lot of these are almost because for example, I had somebody come up to me in all caps. They were like, "No one's gonna listen to you. This is crazy. You're lost your mind." And I'm like, "But you're saying everything that I just said back to me, which means that you listened to me."
Yeah, why are you
And
yelling?
and I was thinking about it, and I was like, "Oh man, this guy's writing in all caps. They're really pressed about this." And I was like, "Oh, you know what? I understand. These are the people who, you know, in a different situation, you might tell, hey, this person that you really like of like a decade that you've known. Well, it turns out they're not nice people. And this is what they've been doing to all the people around them. And then they're like, they know it's true on some level, but they like, they almost can't process. So they get angry about it. And the easiest thing to be angry at is me, because like just another Iger, you know who I'm talking about,
Oh, I know.
one of Samantha's groupies. They actually, well, not anymore. They came up to me and they were like, after the Linkin Park thing, they were like, "I'm so sorry that I ever did anything, said anything. Like, you did not deserve that. Like, now that I've seen some things that are in context, it's just like, I just am sorry. I'm going to be quiet and just watch from now on."
I didn't think
And
they were gonna do that, by the way. Out of
No,
all
never, because
people?
yeah, exactly. They've been harassing me since last year. But last year too, they came around. Remember I said that when they came back this year? I was like, "No, last time I talked to Just Another Iger, they were fine. They were starting to see what I was saying." And then they came back and they were all, you know, teeth and nail, and
Yeah.
then they were like, "Wait, oh, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna step back from this because obviously I didn't understand something." And I feel like more people are like that than not, you know? They have that
Mhm.
initial like, "Dude, I'm gonna set you on fire." And then it's like, "Wait, no, I understand. I'm not gonna do that," you know?
They should just respect you from the beginning if they ever
I
respect the
agree.
tester at all.
I agree.
My thoughts on this whole thing, on the people fighting this, is the people that don't want to believe that the official narrative is possibly not true. You know what I mean? So they're scared that the world is scarier than they think it is, even though it is.
I think they're maybe
Um,
even scared that it's as scary as they thought it was. You
or
know, it's like
scarier.
or worse, you
Yeah.
know, if nice guy Shinoda can be with the top 1% and still be doing everything he's doing, you know, it's
Mm,
like, well, then how long has he been like that?
right. And then
Then
we
what
look.
things did we see that we thought were just catty jokes between guys in the band, but were really them crying out for help?
Mm,
And most importantly, where's Rob Borden?
yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Most importantly, where is Rob and why hasn't he said anything? Hold on, this little
Hasn't
guy's
Brad been
kicking me.
quite quiet himself?
Well, some would argue no, but in reality, the guy failed to show up for tour, released a public statement saying he was never going to do that, and then proceeded to not show up for tour still.
Weird. And what
Here,
Colin
hold on. I gotta
Bertain,
handle my kitten real quick, but
no
I'm listening
worries.
to you.
What Colin Bertain said to you was fucked up too. Because you didn't even tag him in anything bad. You just said like, hey. And for him to be like, bye.
Literally, sorry, I dropped my mic.
It's all
Literally,
good.
the only thing that I said about Colin when he decided to block me was that he was in the band. That's all I said. I said Emily
Yeah.
Armstrong and Colin Bertain join Linkin Park. And he was like,
Yeah.
"Bye." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
bro." So
Yeah.
he's the
Enjoy
first one to
enjoy your
crack.
private jet before your prison cell, Colin.
I am very interested to see how that all turns out because some people crack easier than others. Some people, and the fame is it's touring is really hard. This is just the beginning. I'm not done with what I'm doing, and it's only going to get more polarizing from here. So I feel like Colin was the first one to break. I do wonder if Daddy Shinoda smacked him on the wrist.
Probably.
I
That's
was like,
probably why he
dude,
blocked you right
the whole
away.
point of a fucking gag order is that you don't speak. And you're over here saying bye? You're going to compromise our integrity for that?
Not just integrity, the whole damn thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The whole damn thing is based in their integrity as a person, which
Integrity.
is yeah, exactly. That's a little bit of sarcasm on my part.
Yeah.
But you know, I kind of have this like I was walking yesterday. I was like, you know, I haven't been outside like on the trail in a bit. And the last I think like the last real time that I was on the path was when that old guy tried to convince me that genocide was totally chill. And I was like, "What is your problem?" And he's like, "You don't know the situation. I'm X, Y, and Z, and my brother's X, Y, and Z. And imagine like growing up and having to fight in different armies. You don't know what that feels like." I'm like, "Bro, you don't know who you're talking to." I
Yeah.
know what that feels like. I'm doing it right now. And if and you know, he was also like, "Your past isn't meant to be looked at. It'll consume you. You never know what's real." And I was like, is it
Uh,
not our responsibility throughout our lives to train our empathy, our thought patterns to better understand our reality, our position in that reality, and what we want for ourselves? That's literally the whole point of mental enlightenment.
not all soldiers
So
wear uniforms. Not all heroes wear capes.
that's true. That is very true. I look like a normal dude, but I've been what's that song by Woodkid? Iron. It was used in the boom ba ba ja ba ba ja ba. It's Assassin's Creed Revelations, that
I
Ezio trailer.
I didn't play that one.
No, well, he's fighting all
Nah.
the Templars. He's
I've
like
seen that trailer
whooping
though.
their
That's a
asses. It's like
badass
the
trailer.
sickest, like yeah. You're a kid, it like your mind just fire. You're like I could be like that, you know. holy shit, I feel that way. And that song has always been, you know, I'm a soldier on my own. I don't know where I am or where to go. I want to feel the hand on the shoulder, the blood on the lips to feel the fight again. It's like, damn, that shit is hard.
I love it.
But where were we? We were talking about
Colin Bertain, and then
there was
Daddy
one thing
Shinoda slapping on the wrist. Sorry, I
yeah.
lost it.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Not enough
You're
caffeine for me.
ADHD too.
Yeah. Oh,
Let's
super.
see.
Dude, I get SSI for ADHD. I'm the only person I know. It's that
What's
bad.
SSI?
Social Security. I get disability checks for ADHD. It's that bad. It's not even a joke.
So we're gonna spend the next 80 minutes going nowhere then.
No. I will
No.
say something funny about Assassin's Creed, right? When number 3 came out, because I'm from Massachusetts, my dad made me work my ass off for like 3 weeks on yard work. I earned more than the $60 the game was worth, and I played the crap out of it. So like
that is a fun one.
Years later, I become friends with Jamie Kennedy, and then Adrian Howe, who played Nightcrawler in X-Men '97, follows me.
Whoa.
Turns out he played Haytham Kenway, and he still follows the Dreaming Insomniacs on Instagram. Yeah,
that is really neat.
Yeah, I've made art for a podcast with him, but he's so busy because X-Men
Wow,
'97.
you're reminding me of like the plot. The plot of AC3 is like
great.
It's so wild. Like it's such a like I feel like that's a game in general, just for its time, where like it really actually kind of did deliver for the most part on what it promised to in terms of like advancing all the systems, you know, building on what was there, but also the plot was so like every time I thought it was over, there was like another little thing, and then it kind of like bled into Black Flag, and I was like, wow, you know, I think that this could be something like it finally felt like they, you know, because Assassin's Creed sat in that realm of Ezio for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it was like 3 or 4 games. It was 3 games. It was a trilogy. And they're so fun. Like the story is so good.
Yeah.
But I feel like AC3, because AC3 was the first time they showed the not Anunnaki temples, correct?
Yeah.
That's when they showed like Minerva and all them, and
and the end of the world,
shield, and
the Mayan end of the world, because it came out in 2012, so they played into that.
AC3 was 2012,
right? So it played into the whole end of the world Mayan calendar, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. I actually was prepared to die when that happened.
Yeah, so
that's reminding me of like some serious real life trauma. Yeah. I remember on December 31st, the clock ticked over to like the next day, and it was very much a Y2K moment where I'm just sitting there, like, not that I was alive for that, like as a conscious consenting adult, but like I know what
I don't
Y2K
remember
is.
that. I remember 9/11 though.
I don't. I was born 96, so
me too.
I definitely was at a good enough age, like an old enough age to perceive of 9/11, but I definitely was a byproduct of the aftermath. You know, we have tons of things to talk. We could talk about that forever because it's 9/11.
Right.
But
and then the concert too. Fucking A, that was fucked up.
Which one?
The one that you just went to, and then ending bleeded out. What the fuck?
Oh yeah, that happened to be on.
That was disgusting.
9/11. That was very weird. It's so weird, you know. You catch a lot of people in their subliminal patterns that, you know, they'll tell you, no, don't look there. That doesn't mean anything. But like, yeah, you did rush an entire tour and product placement, or you say you did, and then you start on 9/11.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy too is that with all my, I told you this the other day, with all my magic that I perform, all my conscious awareness that I apply to, or I apply to my reality. The day of the LPU showcase on the 5th of September was the 5-year anniversary of my first date with Trilogy. And I was like, how do you, so this really is it. Like you guys are shooting yourself in the foot on every step, like every step you take, every move you make. It's not that I'm watching you. It's just that you made it as visible as possible.
They really did.
If I'm stalking you, then the hundreds of thousands of your fans are also stalking you.
I'm starting to think at this point, Jamie, that all these people supporting it are either just young people who don't understand or just bots paid for by Scientology, because it seems real fans are not for this.
somebody came up to me and they were like, because they expanded their tour dates. So they were supposed to be back on the 11th and that was it. They have one for the 5th and the 8th and the 15th of November now. They have 3 more shows and they have Sleep Token, Bad Omens, and what's the other guy's name? I don't know these artists like that, but it's just a name. And then there's Helmet. There's one other band. And they released like a coded tour poster to show like which people were playing for.
Can I say one thing real quick for you?
Yeah.
To the guitarist of Shinedown, go fuck yourself. Sorry.
Why? What happened?
He said something about telling you to shut your mouth.
Oh, he told me to shut my mouth.
Yeah, he posted about it. So to the guitarist of Shinedown, go fuck yourself. I'll never.
How do I find that?
Again. I don't know. He said it on Twitter.
He said it. Oh, on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't really have Twitter, but I would love to look at that.
Sorry to throw that in there, but he fucking.
No, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later. I want to see it.
Yeah,
because so many people talk to me like that. They're like,
yeah, no respect.
You're crazy.
You're not.
It's like, bro, come on.
You're completely sane. We had an hour-long conversation last week on the phone. You're fine. These people need to shut the fuck up.
No, it's pretty wild. I don't have that kind of aggression for anybody but like Linkin Park right now. But I feel it. I understand what you're saying. And that's the thing too, is like there are a lot of people. I'm gonna say that Travis Barker and Robert Plant were 2 people who did not actually comment on the situation as they are alleged to have. Because it's weird to me that Robert Plant would say anything about. Did you see that?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
That might be Robert Plant commented on Emily's thing. It just sounds so weird.
Yeah, then if he was actually going to make a comment, then look into fucking his guitar player who owned Crowley's house. Like that's already known.
That's strange. You mean
that
Alistair?
Is weird? Yeah. What's his face? The guitarist from the Led Zeppelin. What's his name? I always forget it. Jimmy Page bought Aleister.
He owns Aleister Crowley's house?
Well, he did, and some weird shit happened, and he sold it. That's what I heard.
Yeah, the tarot deck came to life. Scared the shit out of
Evil Dead shit.
For real.
Seriously.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't think Robert Plant actually talked on this. I feel like the Emily and Mike comments that were supposedly dropped about Susan make more sense. They're definitely more in the vein of like the way that they've been holding themselves. But like, I don't think Travis Barker said anything. To hear that the Shinedown guy is saying something actually is really interesting.
Yeah. Who gave him
I'm a 90s kid.
That was the quote.
He said, who gave him a platform?
I believe so. That's what I heard. So,
well, if that is the case, I gave myself a platform. That's the wonderful thing about this land of opportunity is if I say I want to do something, I can go do it and I don't have to care about your thoughts and feelings. But I do understand that this is confusing. I hope that people in that position take the time to learn about what's happening instead of just fire off about it. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. And I'm the one that said fuck you, not you. What you just said is what you just said. I'm the one that said fuck you to him because I don't care.
And I hear you on that. I have a lot of fuck yous for other people. I've said most of them at this point, but
you've done a great job.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I've done a good job of balancing the fire with the gentle.
Something I haven't talked to you about before, and I think I should. Back to the video game topic. You're a fan of Rockstar Games, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not a big GTA guy, but I love Red Dead 2, and
Red Dead 2 is my favorite. Have you ever played Manhunt 2?
No, I've never played the Manhunt game.
Buried as fuck. But when it was being released, Hillary fought it in court, and the main character looks a lot like your dad, and the game's about MK Ultra.
When did that come out?
2007, Halloween. Yep. Rockstar knows what's up, brother.
For those of you who don't know me, and for those of you who might not remember, because I say a lot of stuff, and it can be hard to keep track of everything. I was conceived, according to myth and legend, during a Halloween party on the 31st, which sounds obvious. Like, oh, if it's Halloween, it's the 31st. But that's not super obvious. You could have Halloween parties on and around the day. So some people like their parties, okay? And my dad, Chester, he married Samantha, his first wife, the one I just talked about. On my story, who's done some pretty heinous shit, some pretty vile stuff to me.
Me too.
Yeah, you too. And they got married on the 31st, the year after I was conceived. So it's been interesting. The Halloween, I call it the Halloween portal because the more aware I become of my past, the more Halloween seems to have this extreme meaning
So
and
much
place in
more
my life.
aware.
Literally, I feel like Halloween in many ways is my December.
Yep. Me too. I love Halloween. I turn it into
I
a positive thing, just like the number 13. It's
yeah.
good luck.
Oh yeah, I always hold the, what you might call negative and positive hand in hand. So, for me it's always, a time of like reflection, but it's also a time of expansion. And so, um, it's interesting to hear that because I didn't think that they were making Manhunt games as like as far back or, into the future as
Yeah.
2007. That
So
doesn't.
they made the first one in '03, and weirdly enough, it's funny if you play all of Rockstar's games and you piece it together. There's a
Hmm.
little prop on one of the missions that takes place at a zoo, and it's like this like toy hippo that kids can ride on, but kids are in none of these games. And they reuse the prop at GTA 4. Nico
Oh,
Bellic is a human trafficker turned good.
whoa.
So what I'm saying is the first game's about snuff
Yeah.
films. Rusty Nelson named Hunter S. Thompson as the one filming the child snuff films in the Franklin cover-up.
Ooh,
And
and Fear
right
and Loathing
after
in
he
Las
shot
Vegas.
himself, Johnny Depp, all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, at the Viper Room, there's a quote on the wall in the words of Hunter S. Thompson, R.I.P. River Phoenix. And yes, Hunter S. Thompson shot himself because he was
I
into
always
this
forget
shit.
about River, dude, because that was so
So
long ago.
Rockstar has been doing the white hat fighting in their games for a long
That's
time.
crazy. Yeah,
But
I've never been a big like GTA guy because I just don't. GTA has always been. It's kind of like hip hop for me. It took me
yeah,
a lot of healing to get into hip hop because the people that are in my life, they listen to like Drake and whatnot,
ugh.
and they that
Raise
kind of
some
ruined
kids
it for me
another
even
day.
back then. And I was just like, dude, I couldn't get into like KOD by J. Cole or even Sire by Jaden Smith or Damn by Kendrick Lamar or anything earlier than that, like Overly Dedicated or Untitled. I couldn't get into those things because of the people in my life. So my younger brother, who's one of my abusers, Isaiah, he was a huge GTA guy. He was a huge straight guy. It just took me forever to get around to these things
Right.
because I was like, I don't want to be like him. And I still don't like GTA just because I don't like doing things that I wouldn't do in real life. Like I'm
Yeah.
cool playing Red Dead. That makes sense to me. I'm
Yeah.
more of like the outdoorsy type anyway. I'd probably be the guy on the horse walking
So
around,
beautiful.
expanding my mind and whatever. But like with and I feel like that story, Red Dead 2, has such like a wonderful payoff
It
depending on your
does.
actions, right?
And if
Like
you take your time
it's
with it,
such
you
a
have
long
to take
game.
your slow ass time
You
with
do.
it.
You have to
Don't
live
rush it.
there. And then when you live there, it's like, oh, this is so fulfilling. And then
Then you're gonna
with
cry at the end.
GTA, it never made me feel like, oh, that's gonna happen. Even though I know the
Yeah.
stories are things that people really love. I
Yeah.
just have never been the guy to shoot up a bunch of civilians and jump in a car. I understand that's fun for some people,
For
but
me,
I'd
it
rather play
just
Halo.
helps me chill sometimes. Like I get mad at the world, throw on GTA for 5 minutes, and I'm bored. I've been playing GTA 5 since it came out. But I love the side
I know it's
plot
been
in
out so
5.
long now.
I love the side plot in 5 where Michael can join the fucking Epsilon program, which is just Scientology, and it's a whole expose. And you could kill all of them by taking the money. The game doesn't tell you. Just kill them all
Oh,
and take the money. Yeah, it's great. It's a big fuck
oh.
you to Scientology.
I was watching playthroughs because okay, so I went into a deep dive on Bethesda recently.
They have a lot of great games too.
I didn't realize how Linkin Park they are. And that kind of hurt my feelings after a while
Yeah,
because when I came up on video games, I was a kid, so like I had to play the maturity game. Like I had to make my parents believe that I was good enough to play the big kid games because I could play T games all the time. There were games that were exceptions like Halo, it's rated M, but most of it's fantasy violence
it's
and
rated T now.
Neon. Now it's rated T.
Yeah, the last
Oh,
2
that's
Halo
time for
games have
you.
been rated T.
That's time for you.
Sorry, back to what you were saying.
And no, it's just that's crazy because like all my life,
Yeah,
Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST,
Reach.
Reach, all of those, they were mature.
Except for
So
Wars. Wars was always T, but that was different
I
because
never
it's like a
played
real
that.
time
Yeah,
strategy. Yeah,
that's
it was stupid. I didn't want
yeah.
to.
You didn't like it? Damn,
I
that's too
just don't like
bad.
real time strategy games. This is my thing. I like open
Oh
world
yeah, yeah.
and shooters, but real time strategy is not my thing.
I know it kind of takes. There's something about being like a towering giant like 117, and then being in something even bigger than you,
Yeah.
like first person. You jump into the Citadel for the first time. You're like, this was so well realized. Oh my god. But like I had to work my way up to like Halo was an exception because you could play 4-player on that. You could get some cool LAN parties going. The Linkin Park ethos is really cool because in the legendary times of the past, they would have combat evolved showdowns. They would have Halo 2 showdowns. They would have COD showdowns. You play like Modern Warfare 2 or whatever.
My
You
favorite
get
one.
other bands in it, and that was so cool. And you go on stage or you'd be on the bus and then you do something. And this is Linkin Park tour, like going as a kid. You'd show up in like some state you're not aware of with like all these people around who are excited to be there, Project Revolution, things like that. They're just fun summer camp type vibes. And then you're playing like Call of Duty with like Atreyu or some shit.
Love
Maybe
it.
they never played, but I know that they toured with, Mike, him, and Atreyu during one of these Project Revolutions. Unfortunately, I don't think Chris Cornell was ever involved in those, but it was just fun to have that level of aggression with people who genuinely just wanted to party and play, like they're there to play their songs. They're there to like chill. And so, there's this level of like, no, fuck you. But it's also like, dude, I'm so happy to be here and I'm not mad at all.
Cool that they
Eh,
get to have video games on tour. I like that.
yeah.
At least
That
they
was
can
really cool.
chill. You
And
know,
the band within themselves, they would fight each other on these games. So
I'm
it's like,
sure.
it was like it was really cool because like at that time it feels, and maybe it feels genuinely playful. It doesn't feel as angry as it sounds, but it's like,
Right.
I'm gonna get you next time, I swear to God.
Yeah.
But
Which
then again, it's like you look at like the carpool karaoke video right
it's
before Chester
fake.
died,
Fake.
and then he's like, I want to be more like me and less like Mike, and you're like,
Yeah,
maybe
that's
that
real.
wasn't playful,
No, that was
maybe.
real. Mike was being fake. I've seen that a million times.
Yeah,
That
that's
that
so
whole thing is all
interesting.
those interviews before he died are weird. The whole
They're
thing is
all weird.
weird.
The
Whole
genius
thing's
ones
weird.
especially. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was, I had to really strive for M-rated games to go back to AC3, Assassin's Creed has a huge impact on my life. Like before I knew about, consciousness and what it could do through my own studies on my and experiments on myself, I saw the animus as like something totally reasonable. I saw like, no, that is possible. I would spend a lot of time like fantasizing about Assassin's Creed world because I could see it. And then to realize as you get older, like, okay, the Illuminati's real. Okay,
Yep.
everything's bought and paid for.
Yep.
Scientology exists.
Yep.
There are all of these really interesting things. Like, okay, so when I actually time travel in real life and I'm actually remote viewing and I'm actually seeing events before they happen and I'm getting inklings of emotions and things from out of time and they have real life impact, physical impact on my reality. That was all real and it's all tied to this
Yep.
uh, resonation, this animus style thinking, and that's kind of maybe even in a really like roundabout way over the years, maybe that's actually been an influence for the Picture Pieces archive. Now that I'm talking about it, I was just putting up videos from my Snapchat, which is something I've been trying to do for a while, adding it to my now playlist on YouTube. And as I'm integrating these things and putting them up and giving them names, I'm like, wow, this is like being in the animus.
Yep.
I only have 9 seconds of available access, like of strict access to this memory, this core memory. Once I sequence them and I go back and look at them and look at the interviews or the movies that I made in sequence, like in relationship chronologically to that moment in time that this video exists, I gain a bigger perspective on what I was looking at. It's kind of like,
Ding
it's
ding
like you
ding.
can't go into that memory without sufficient background. And it's like, so you go and you play the Ezio mission where he's in Rome or whatever. And then you play that for like, 3 or 4 chapters. And all of a sudden you can go back 10 years to one tiny little memory that you got back. It's like, it feels like that's something real to me. and watching it happen in real time is so fun because it's always as polarizing as the actual history that the game is trying to visualize or emulate in the first place. It's like, well, that was historic. I had no idea that was history right there. 2016 was the presidential election between Hillary and Trump, and then 2017 came along, and then I had my falling out with my father, and then he was dead, and then it was like, within a year, it was Mike Shinoda's back. Within a year after that, it was like, okay, now my father's the face of this mental health movement, and it was like,
which was also fucked up.
Yeah, there are just so many things that happen at once that are so like polarizing. They're so intense. They're so kind of, a lot of them are pretty fucked up. And
you're in the middle of all of it. You're his first.
Yeah. And you're slowly remembering, or even coming to realization yourself, because I wasn't raised in the knowledge that I have. I had to gain that, a lot of the things that I might have considered totally chill and acceptable when I was young are things that now that I'm older, I realize I've always spoken out about it against those things. And I was always shut down about those things.
And so was your dad. Your dad was, like you said, your dad was the same.
I always
behind closed doors.
People come up and they're like, Jamie, you were never like this. What happened? And I was talking about this with Steph, I think, and I was like, I've always been this way. And part of putting the Snapchats up is to show that. I've always been the kid screaming for fun. I've always been the kid who's loud as fuck, maybe a little ignorant, maybe a bit hateful, but like, I was raised that way. I'm just white. I'm white trash from Phoenix, guys. I elevated myself. Like, this is mental illness runs deep in my family. Violence runs deep in my family. Deceit runs deep in my family. And there's nothing you can do to become the things that you're raised in unless you get enough of a perspective later in life so you can leverage that energy into something more positive.
And you've done that.
I feel like I have,
Yeah,
I feel, at least at the very least, I feel accomplished.
You're not letting all this shit deter you. And to add credence to what you were talking about before, about the going back into the memories and watching content around that time to remember it and all that, to look in the future, I've had many near-death experiences, and I've seen every single place that I've lived as an adult in my adult life before it happened in dreams.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
I could say a lot
was
about
crazy
that too.
because like I had to check. This is the last time I ever did this, and this is a few weeks after your dad's death. I had to check myself into a fucking respite for a weekend. It fucked me up. I never knew your dad, but it fucked me up. And
that seems to be the
that
consensus.
was the first time I was like, well, shit, I've seen this in a dream a year ago. And it's just happened again and again and again. And it's like, well, no, you're not crazy. This shit happens. There is a metaphysical realm. There's a spiritual realm. And people have more power than we're told. They want to keep us at bay,
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day.
We were.
When we were talking, I was at the gym, and because I started my physical fitness routine, I was 175 in 2019. I'm 138 pounds right now. And so I'm still trying to get back up to that level of, thickness, that level of, fitness. And so, thank you. I appreciate it. I can feel the old patterns releasing, but also enforcing in the positive ways. I can feel my entire core centered around the strength that I have developed for myself. And so it's really cool to go into it. And ironically, I'm the same age that Chester was when he started doing it for himself. The same thing, working out and becoming as capable as he was, which is very interesting. I didn't plan it this way. I've been trying to get back in the gym for literally years, and it's just now happening. So it's fun to see myself and my father that way.
Parallel.
But in terms of going back to the places that you receive trauma or being embedded in a pattern that is so strong that you actually are warned about it before it happens, is something that I live with regularly. Like I said, somehow they picked 2 dates to come back for Linkin Park that were extremely impactful. They picked the 5-year anniversary of my first date with my partner, who I've been life partners with since I met them in September of 2019. I've been life partners with them since December of 2019. And we only got married this last April. We've been married this entire time, but we decided to do that legally, right? Yeah, we would be considered maybe domestic partners at one point, but maybe a few more years. I think it's like 8 years you have to be together, but we were narrowing in on that, kind of like, well, why not just do it? We really do love each other, and there's nothing that's going to change that. But
Aww.
with that being said,
Hi,
there's
G.
yeah, they're sleeping right now. I'm trying to be
Oh.
quiet. Shut up, Joe. No,
That was a
but
hashtag for a while, believe it or not, between my friends.
That's
Hashtag shut up, Joe, because I never shut up.
I love that. My friends would never be so daring.
Oh, I
I
know.
wish they would be. It would be amazing, but I
Wasn't the
think
best
people.
crowd.
Oh, well, that's not good. I'm sorry to
It's
hear
all right.
that.
No, it's all good.
But I made it a habit of like going back to places in my life that I received trauma.
Yeah.
Like I took G to Tucson, where I went to college. That was one of the most isolating, depressive times in my life. And then I was like, look, this is where I used to live. And going there, even just a couple of years, because I was out of college 2-ish years, like a year and a half, maybe a year and 3/4 before I met G. And so bringing them back, I brought them back like 3 or 4 years into our relationship. So on top, that's like 6-7 years right there. Oh, here, you're freezing. I'm just gonna wait a second.
Am I? Oh no.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sorry. It's just my connection's unstable, which doesn't make any sense. They're fucking
No, it's
with
okay.
me.
I just want to make sure. Sometimes it
They're fucking
goes
with me.
quiet.
Can you see me
Oh,
now?
say
Am I
that.
moving for you, or is it still
Yeah, you're
glitching?
moving.
Okay,
It's a
good.
little behind too, but it's okay as long as
Whatever.
you can hear me.
Now we're at 2
Because
bars, so
sometimes
that's
it
good.
cuts out.
Yeah. Oh, it's the
But yeah,
microphone. It's because you have the Blue Yeti. That's what I'm using. It's not on the stand, so the connection's a little weird, and then you click the button and you don't realize it. So you just got to be careful. Mic
yeah,
technique.
mic technique. Oh yeah,
Mic
I
technique.
jostle this thing all the time. I'll get really excited and mess up the connection.
Yeah.
But I made a habit of going back to places that pained me consciously with the people in my life that care about me. And even just 6 years removed was a lot. Like going back to Tucson, you could see how different but same it was. And, I was a little teary eyed on the inside. And then we went and actually hunted down my biological mother's old houses. The ones that I grew up in when she was using speed and meth. And
Yeah.
so, when I went and looked at the last house that I was
So much
in,
for a credible source.
no, for real. And none of it would be a problem. I don't mind that this was a reality. I don't mind that it's painful. I don't mind going back. It's just like the way that people hate themselves for things can really get in the way of healing and understanding. And my mother is like that. So I had to go on my own, and I had to go with, she helped me at the time, I think. But no, that was a little bit before that. I don't think she helped me with this one. But I basically did like a legal search on all my parents to see what records they had or didn't have, what phone numbers and addresses they had been registered with. And I found it. And I went and looked at it, and they did change some stuff. But, sitting in front of it was so strange because I was like, this place is so small in comparison to my memories. It's like an Alice in Wonderland situation. You
Well,
you
you were
show up in
little.
your, well, yeah, but yeah, I didn't, in your mind, it's like, okay, I was about 8 when I was here last.
Yeah, so it's gonna feel
So,
bigger then than now because you're an adult. You're fully
yeah,
grown.
and that makes total sense, right? You're like, I'm even taller, I'm 5'10" now. I'm like, I'm thicker, or I'm smaller, and that, it depends on when I'm going and when I'm looking, and, my mind is at a different capacity. And it's just so interesting because in a way I could compare it to the movie The Room, or The Room, or is it Room?
No, it's
There's
Room with Brie Larson.
Brie Larson,
Yeah,
and
not the I did not hit her. It's bullshit. It's not true.
no, not that one.
That movie's
Which,
great.
by the way, what a funny movie. And
It's so
also,
funny.
I went and saw Tommy Wiseau and fuck, what's his name? Greg.
Oh yeah, Greg. Yeah.
They did Best Friends.
Yeah, the movie that came out like 5-6 years ago.
I saw the premiere of that at the Art House in Tucson.
That's awesome. I
The
love that you
same
supported
place I
it.
ended up watching Vertigo for the first time on 35 millimeter.
Tommy deserves more love. I think he's just a little slow, like
He
me.
was so funny. But like also like I feel like Tommy is, yeah, I'm not gonna code anybody or diagnose anybody.
Oh, autism,
But to
definitely.
me, I get a lot of the spectrum off
Yeah,
Tommy.
absolutely.
And I didn't realize that back then when I went to the actual screening at the independent film theater that I went to go see it at. And they were there, you know, they did the whole presentation and everything.
Yeah.
I was more of like in the vein of like almost satirical, how do you say it? Like satirical heckling.
You
Like
were having fun with
I
it.
wasn't there like throwing things at them while they were doing their presentation. I was
Like some
genuinely
people
excited to be
do.
there. But I was like, "Oh, this is funny. This is interesting. Like this
Yeah.
is so weird." It's like watching It's Always Sunny in a live theater audience. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it was, I have snaps I'm gonna put up of that, just like pictures and stuff, because it's very interesting. But that's in the future.
Cool.
When I went to the house, it was like Room with Brie Larson and, oh, I just tried to
Jacob
remember his
Tremblay.
name. Jacob
I don't know how I
Tremblay.
remembered that, but I'm a
Thank
movie
you.
buff, so
I know, me too, and I haven't seen it in a while, and
no,
I
that
know
kid
who
was
Jacob
great.
Tremblay is.
That kid was
He's a
great.
very talented young actor, and I hope that he's safe in the industry.
Me too.
Because he was a big child actor for a time. He was almost like the
Uh-huh.
Dakota Fanning of his generation, if I may say
She
so.
seems okay, thankfully.
Um,
Depends though, is she a sellout? You know what I mean? Like, is she being quiet for the
it
industry?
depends.
Or we'll see.
We should definitely pay
Look
attention to
into
her and
it.
her sister for
Yeah.
sure. Elle Fanning is her
Yeah.
sister, and
Because
I'm
didn't
not saying
Spielberg
anything about
produce
that.
Super 8?
But
And we
yeah,
know all
yeah, of
about
course he did.
Steven and what he's into.
Steven, Michael Giacchino was on that. That was
Well,
a big.
you know what's up with Spielberg, right? Like, you know it's
Oh, there are
not
so many things
good.
up with
Thank
Spielberg.
you. Okay. What about
Yeah,
that
there.
letter that Crispin Glover wrote? That's enough for anybody to question his whole demeanor.
We should talk about that in a moment.
Amblin,
We'll
the
come.
Milk of Magnesia movie.
I need
Weird.
to.
Weird.
Maybe I don't know about some stuff.
There's a
I
lot of
should
shit.
research.
A
You should
lot.
send me some links. I want to
I
know,
will. I got
because
you.
E.T. is one of my favorite movies,
I
or
know.
was one of my favorite movies. The
I
score for
know.
that I had on vinyl,
And
and I would
look at
just
Drew
play it
Barrymore,
on
alcoholic at 9. Why?
at
Why?
9.
Why so close to Steven? Yeah. You don't know about
Okay, we're
that?
gonna have to circle back to that. No, I
Yeah,
don't.
brother. It's fucked up.
I didn't know she was at not that. Okay, we're gonna have to
Yeah.
circle back to that.
She was
But
in
yeah,
rehab at 9 years old.
that's fucking. How do you? Okay,
Sorry, Drew. Love you, but I had to
yeah,
say
I'm
it.
so sorry,
It's
Drew. That's
publicly
wild,
known.
man. Damn,
Yeah.
9 years old.
Yeah.
Well, showing up at the house was weird because it was like, you know, when they go back to the house in Room, when they go, or the house,
Yes.
then they go back to the garden shed in Room, and it's after they've been gone. It's the same idea, and that I'm performing this act, but they show up, and if, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, they've been trapped in this green, like, it's not a greenhouse, it's a shed. It's very small, and they escape and they go back to it. Um, and it's so small. Like, they did a really good job in that scene of like showing that it's really 5 feet across, 6 feet across.
Yep.
Because in the movie, when they're trapped in there, they do a really good job of showing
Making it
space and
look.
how people, uh, what you might call, like, adapt to their
Yep.
circumstances. Caged animals thinking that their cage is much bigger than it is because they've been in it for too long. And then you realize when they go back, like, oh my God, yeah, this was like 5 by 6 feet. Like, this really wasn't that big. And he really was a baby. And like,
Yep.
wow. And when I saw the house, I was like, no, there are dimensions to this place that I don't have access to because my trauma has closed the door on that. But there are places and people and spirits in here that
Yep.
are in corners and closets and
I should tell you about the
rooms.
house I grew up in.
You
No,
should. I want to
really.
hear it. I love haunted house
Oh,
tales, because
ooh.
this house in specific was a haunted house.
Yeah.
I've seen orbs. I've
Yeah.
woken up with literal runes written on my wrist, and I don't know these runes. They're not
Oh,
what they
that's
are.
scary.
Yeah,
I believe
I've
you
had demons
too.
in my closet. My parents practiced black magic for a while.
The house I
So
grew up in, we had these people named the Wolves owned the house before, and the son died in like a motorcycle accident.
Mm.
And like ever since I was a little kid, like especially in the breezeway in the dining room, or the sunroom in the dining room, I would get frozen. And you know how these energies, they fuck with kids more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it always freaked me out. So like, I don't know, this 2015, my year of graduation, actually the day the Batman versus Superman trailer dropped, and I was showing it to my business partner and bandmate Steven Spacey. He
Okay.
couldn't make it today.
Wonderful
He's at
landmark.
work, but he says hello.
Yeah.
Steven and Shayna, I was showing it to them on the couch, and because my parents were on vacation, I was watching the house, and like Steven like looks over and he's like, Joe, look over. And I see like a wisp of white air at the bottom of the steps. I could not sleep that night. They left freaked out, right? And they will vouch for me if you ask them. I
Well,
swear
it
to
just
God.
looked like smoke, like fog.
It was a fucking entity. Something was there. And it went right
Yeah.
up to my room. That night, I could not go up there. I was like, fuck this. After this, I moved to the basement too. And the dog, he's dead now, but Hendrix was this big bulldog pit bull mix, and he was asleep at the bottom of the stairs. And I pinched myself to make sure I was awake, but he lifted up about 5 feet in the air and fell like all splayed.
For real?
So, and then my
Like,
mom, rest her
wow.
soul, she tells me after I tell her about this that there was some weird shit that happened when they first moved in, where there was like an accordion that the son had left in the attic. This is how I found out about the son dying. That was gone. They were peeling back fucking wallpaper on the walls, and
Whoa,
there was like
scary movie
black.
style.
There was like black writing and dates, numbers. Yeah. Yeah, the people who won the lottery in East Bridgewater, Massachusetts in 2016 bought that house, and now it's abandoned.
I had so many strange happenings. I always go back and forth on this because I will never try these harder substances that my parents were on. Just because I know what the effect is now. The science is a lot more developed, but also I've had that personal experience. I don't need to know like that. I don't know if I was microdosed as a child on some level because I don't know how clean my parents were with hiding you know, their substances. So I don't know how many of my quote, spiritual experiences were
Were just you put
amplified
on
by,
drugs? Yeah. I'm trying.
maybe I went to
I
the,
don't think Chester would have done that, but I think Alco would have.
I don't know. I don't know Chester like that. I just
Yeah, I
know
don't
that
either.
my mom would like,
I don't want to think that. That's what it is.
she like, okay. So when I asked Elka most recently about like my sleepwalking episodes as a child, which I would say I was being possessed by spirit on some level. Because of my pain, I was more resonant towards certain thoughts and feelings, and I had some really gnarly people around me. So I was sensitive, I was sensitized, and able to pull lots of energy at once. Because I would be laying there playing like Cat in the Hat on PS2,
I
and
never
then
played
I
that
would
one.
feel like wet, like when you wet your hand in the sink and you do this to somebody.
Yeah.
Or they do it to you. It felt like that, like all along the back of my head and my back of my neck,
But nothing was there.
but nothing was there. I'd feel like I was being
Oh.
watched.
Oh.
Like there's things watching me, female figures and like almost witchy
Yeah.
type demonic
Yeah.
spirits watching me from the distance. And my room itself was actually haunted, but I can get into that
Mine
in a
was too. I
second.
had to sleep with a blanket over my head because so it wouldn't
I did that
attack
too.
me. Yo,
If anybody
we were meant
remembers
to meet, Jamie. We were
I
meant to meet.
know this is like, you create the common conscious and it's easier to access certain things. And this is part of that process. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why social integrity is so important, and communication and community is so important. But I would have experiences like that. And then let's see. I had like a lot of really weird experiences in that house in specific. And it followed me around my entire life, but like it like I would feel the effects of that moment from like for like years. But like the weird stuff would be like I have full memories of having. Oh wait, no, let me go back to the Elka thing real quick because I'm gonna forget it.
Sorry.
So no, it's okay. See, I'm ADHD a little bit
I
too.
know.
I get off on a path and I have to find my way back.
Me too.
So with Elka, I had asked her, I was like, what about my sleepwalking episodes? Because when I talked to your sister about it, my Aunt Sophia, which was like a year ago, maybe now, a year and a half, I asked her, like, hey, what did you remember of, when you gained custody or guardianship over me and I came to live with you? What did you see of my sleepwalking? And she was like, Jamie, you were already like that when you came to us. Like you were really, really bad and you would scare the shit out of everybody because you'd walk around I would have my like executive functioning meltdown. So my hands would be like curled up and I'd be walking around trying to talk. I can't get the words out. I'd be like seeing visions. It's crazy. It's like I was stuck in the dream state, but kind of aware that I was walking around. But the more aware I
Sleep
became
paralysis.
of my body, yeah, it was literally like that. But I was walking and it was doing its own thing, like
That's
playing out its own
crazy.
patterns. And so like,
No, I'm not
with
calling
all,
you crazy. That's just some
no,
crazy
it
shit
is
to go
crazy.
through.
That's how much that's CPTSD right there.
Yeah.
So when I was walking, when I was going through this, my mom, I asked her, I was like, hey, your sister said that I was like that when I got there. And she actually claims that she called you and was like, hey, what the fuck did you do to Jamie? Because you're not telling me something. You have to be lying about something because Jamie is literally inconsolable. Like they'll go to sleep and like wake up and start screaming. They'll wake up and they'll be walking around and doing and saying things. And like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be like, and this is one of the reasons that we're like, when Sam's like, you did this to my nephew, I'm like, maybe it
I
was a
don't believe
sleepwalking
it at
episode
all. I
that
don't.
I think that I know I didn't do anything like that consciously. I know that when you're sleepwalking, sometimes you don't remember, but I hadn't been sleepwalking for years. But when I was at Toby's house that one time for that 1 year anniversary of my father's, when we planted the tree down the street, I remember reflecting on that. Like there was an energy in the house that reminded me of that time. And I wasn't so connected to myself back then. I would watch Twin Peaks to relate to myself because I wasn't able to see myself that way. And so when I asked Elka about this, I was just like, hey, like, I just don't understand why she's saying that it was already that bad. Like, what do you remember? And she was like, no, you weren't like that. It never happened like that. Like that only happened when you left. And I was like, okay. And
Who
she
do you
was like,
believe?
well, she was like, you were never out of bed. Like you always went to bed. I was always awake. I always knew where you were. And I was like, well, for one, that's not true because I remember getting up a lot in that house in specific and like being, because I would get up scared, hearing something, feeling something, walk in the dark. And then I would stand in front of the door like I did at Samantha's house when she had me for 3 or 4 months. And I would stand there paralyzed, totally conscious in the dark and like the darkest part of the house, standing there just trying to gain the physical capacity to open the door or knock on it or go inside the room. There was something in the room I couldn't be in the room with.
Yeah, it was affecting you too.
Yeah, it was like a Bleach says, whose spiritual pressure is that? It's like I could feel the spiritual pressure of these people in their sleep when they're at their most crystalline aspect. And she was like, no, that never happened. I'm like, yeah, it did though. I was always like out there fearful, like trying to, talk to you, trying to get help, but like I just didn't have the words, I didn't have the strength, I didn't, and then I would eventually calm myself down enough to walk myself back to bed, put my blanket over my head and then breathe it down until I fell asleep.
Right.
And then wake up the next morning. But really I hadn't really, my parents would be like, my mom in that sense would be like, why are you sleeping so late? You must just be growing. It's like,
right.
Yeah, that's true. But also I was up all night trying to
Yeah.
get the spirits to shut the fuck up.
Mhm.
And then, with that being said, I was like, well, why do you think that that didn't happen? Because it did happen. And she was like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, she really didn't know that I was out there doing that. Right.
Right.
And she was like, well, I was up every night, Jamie. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean you were up every night, all night? Like, why were you up all night every night? And she was like, because Jamie, I was high.
Nah!
And I'm like, oh, well, then you were either doing speed or meth.
Yeah.
And you were doing it in the house, and you've promised me you never did it around us, but here you are saying you did it almost every night, and you were up and you knew the difference between me sleeping and me not sleeping and that you were there for me. But the truth of the matter is that that's not the reality. You were up, stimulated all the time, doing it in the house, involving yourself with all sorts of people who you would allow to live with us. And that ranged from, criminal types to, which I have a lot of sympathy for what you might consider a criminal type. That's not a diss. It's just, criminal types. People who, my mom did drugs with the people that she was friends with. She was friends with the suppliers. Okay. she was, doing all sorts of weird stuff. Legend has it she had Grand Theft Auto out of our garage, like a ring, just like selling parts and stealing them and things like that. So like,
Damn.
and then on top of that, she was hanging out with the dealers. So she was hanging out with the white supremacists. She was hanging out with the anarchists. She was hanging out with like all these
Dumb.
people, allowing them to live in our house. And it was just very strange, And so
This isn't
that
me
was
talking shit, but your dad sure knew how to pick them, huh?
my dad is a product of his circumstance, just like my mom was. Like, I have so much respect for my mother. I have so much love for her.
I
It's the
respect you
way
for
she
saying that.
chooses to hold herself in remembering these things that pisses me off, right? That makes me go, I don't want to be your son then. If you're going to
Right.
say all of this is locked behind a door that's shaped like you and I'm not the key to fit that lock because that's your life and not mine. Like, she hit me up so the other day when I started talking about Linkin Park, she tweeted, she was like, oh, I got all these new followers. Someone must be brewing again. Somebody sent me
Yeah.
this snapshot of that. And I was
Oh
like,
my
you son of a
God.
bitch, you're so mean. And
Yeah.
then real Skeeter boy vibes all over again. And then she hit me up and she was like, you did this. This is your fault. We all tried to pay attention to you, to give you love. You're such a pain in the ass. All you want to do is talk shit. You don't care about healing. And I was like, really? Because I gave my stepfather Dane a 7-day notice after years of following his rules for interaction and him ghosting me every step of the way. He
Yeah.
didn't even respond to the 7-year limit or 7-day limit that I gave him. Sorry.
No, it's all good. We're human.
Adrian, who was a friend of Samantha's and Chester's, who's now Elka's husband, Adrian Lindsay, I asked him to step in. He said that he would. He chose to take her side. He chose to lie to me about his life. I didn't, again, like I said, with all the Linkin Park guys, it's not that I'm mad and shooting off about nothing all the time and just like being an annoying child about things. It's that I'm literally at the end of the rope. I have tried everything with these people and they'll still come to me and say things like that.
Yeah.
So, it's just challenging. And one of the other scary stories about that house, I actually, and this is why I brought up my website. For those of you who remember my blog that I used to run, I'm bringing all of my literature over to this new version of the platform. So don't worry about it. We're getting there. I'm going to do audibles and story times for those. So we're going to do cool, like ambient around the fire story time type things. But there was an entity that lived in my house. There were two. There was one that lived in my closet, and it was feminine. It was a female, and it would possess. It sounds super weird, but it would give me nightmares, and it would actually speak. And I'm not the only one who heard this. It was Dane Brand and my mom's first husband and Elka herself who heard it. They actually had my Christian grandmother come over and literally bless my room Bible style with like water and prayers and like
Power of Christ
like
compels you.
literally like, and in the story it's like, if you don't have the blood of a lamb over your door, the Holy Spirit's going to come and kill your kid. That kind of like level of archaic Bible ritual.
Yeah.
They did to it wasn't blood, but that was like holy waters and things like that, which is a kind of blood.
They
But I
exercised
digress.
the room.
They did. And it turned out that my mom was actually storing in my room handmade purses and other objects that my mom's first husband, Dane, his ex-wife, whose daughters I consider my sisters, they were being sent stuff by their mom who practiced black magic with Dane.
Oh, there you go.
And she was storing all of those objects in my closet.
Mm-hmm.
And my family's so tight knit on a conscious level that like my Aunt Sophia, the one who would eventually take guardianship over me, she had a dream in the middle of the night, a remote viewing of that closet. She could see it and hear it. And she called my mom and told her to take certain things out. And they did it immediately. Then my grandma came over the next day and blessed the room. So that is real. Okay.
Spiritually inclined people know.
They
know.
do. You'll know I'm telling the truth. You know what I'm talking about.
I know you're telling the truth. I believe
everything
you say.
The other one was, so It Walks There was a short story that I released on my website when I had my blog back in like 2017, 18, 19. And then I took it all down because I tried to reorganize the website and WordPress deleted my template and like scattered all my information. And I was like, none of these templates are what I wanted for the way this is supposed to be like, set out. Like you're supposed to be able to go here and see this and go here and see that. It just didn't work anymore. So I gave up on the website, but I have all the stuff still. that was on it.
I don't
And
know. I don't know
yeah,
what happened. Oh, there we
go ahead.
go. Sorry. I don't
Better.
know my camera just cut out for a second. Sorry
Oh,
about
it didn't
that.
look like it. Yeah, over
Yeah,
here
it
it was
did for
clean.
me. Oh, thank God.
That's so weird.
Sorry, I feel
No, it's
really
okay.
bad.
You're good.
There was a point I wanted to make. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
go for it.
Has to do with the whole thing that Samantha said. I don't believe it at all because Toby hasn't said anything about it, nor has her children. It seemed like she said it out of anger, and I've had my own personal experience with her. I did not sign an NDA, and I don't give a fuck. She told me
Yeah.
they were going to replace Chester in November of 2022, and I said, "There's no way you can do that." And she
Yeah.
said, "Well, they're going to do it anyway." Her exact
Mm-hmm.
voice. And when she turned on me, when I had her on the phone before that,
Yeah.
just before that, I said, "I think it was Mike." And then she's like, "I don't know. I wasn't there." So
Ah.
she's been trying to control the narrative the whole time. She's not a credible source. She's a fucking liar, and I don't believe a
Yeah.
word she says.
So there you go, guys. Samantha Bennington has known that Mike Shinoda and the group was
Yes.
going to replace Chester since November of 2022.
I am the one who gave the testimony to Heavy Metal Yogi for this. 22,000 views.
Oh shit.
That's me. I have witnesses. My business partner, Steven. I asked him last night on the phone, did I tell you about this back then? He's like, then and now.
Yeah.
I'm
Wonderful.
like,
I
okay,
love
thank
that
God
for
there
you.
are witnesses. Yes,
I
there are
love that
multiple
you have your
witnesses.
support system.
And for
Yeah.
every single person that was following us then who were disappointed that that interview never came to be, that is why.
Welcome to This Is the Void.
This is the void.
It's nothing, really.
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing's going on ever. Don't
Right.
ever speak of it, but say it
Yeah.
all the time. No,
Amen.
thank you for sharing that. That's super
Yeah, it
important.
had to be said.
And, you know, especially in context of some of these more serious moments, like I met Samantha right after this. All of this haunted stuff that I'm talking about. This is the last place that I lived with my mother before she gave me up.
Right.
And so the second entity that I'll talk about, and I'll leave it alone because I just think it's fun to talk scary stories, is that so it walks there describes this thing that walks in the hallway back and forth. And in my real life, what that was so there was a hallway between me and my mom's room. And the house was so haunted, we would actually take shifts all sleeping with my mom. So it'd be like me and my brother or my sisters, which would be Dane's kids, sleeping with my mom, because it's like she can't sleep with everybody all the time. We're like grown ass kids, you know, we're like 8 years old. Devin would have been 9 or 10. Valerie would have been a little younger. Abby wasn't there yet. Isaiah's a year younger than me. So, you know, we're talking 9, 8, 7 years old.
Still young
Something
enough
like that.
to not make
Still,
it weird.
not to make it weird. It's just, it was that scary. And
Yeah, no, it's just, if it's haunted, you want to be near your parents.
yeah,
I hate
and you
to say
don't,
it.
but and also like your parents, they don't know what these things want.
Yeah,
They
because they're
don't know what
adults.
they're
They're
going to
not
do.
affected by it as much.
They're not affected by it, or those entities are also astral projections, extensions of their own auras, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I have no doubt that some of these things were actually embodiments or manifestations of my parents from their, like when I said when they sleep, everybody's in their own energy, you know, you get that energy a little bit more clearly. I've been on my live streams, like I think the first 3, I think it's in the first 3 of my live streams when I came back this June. G fell asleep. They went to bed. I don't know if you remember this one. Maybe you weren't there yet.
I don't know.
And I got like woozy for a second, like my brain just kind of, and then I was like, where am I? And then I was like, oh, okay, G's dreaming right now. Okay, I know. Yep,
Yeah.
someone's sleeping right now. And then there was like a real world like synchronotic event that like signaled that. And I was like, oh, it was on camera. There it is. You guys all saw it. I have that kind of intuition. So when I was younger, I have no doubt that I was picking up on other people's energies and bringing them into a communal space, right? But also that they were coming for me specifically because I have a lot of feelings about what I think my parents might have thought about me, just on an emotional level. Like maybe they didn't really feel that way, but they did have emotions about what they felt about the situation.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I know my mom loved me, but I also know that it's really hard to have a kid and it's really hard to do it alone. And there's a lot of resentment around a lot of things.
Yes, which
That's it.
explains a lot of her behavior. I think deep, just like I said to
Absolutely.
you on the phone last week, I think Draven, your brother, still loves you. I think your mom still
Of
loves
course.
you. Deep down, they just don't
Yeah.
want to face it right now.
It's the same condition I mentioned before earlier in this talk where I was like, I think people just can't handle it. I think
No,
that
they can't.
they don't know where to put it, and they don't know how to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
I mean, look who Draven's mom is. So, I mean,
Exactly. I mean, Samantha never knows where to put anything.
No.
So, or how to keep it there if she does know where to put it for a second.
I hate
But
this. Do you mind if I
ahead.
run to the restroom real quick?
Dude,
I'm
I have
trying
to pee so
to hold
bad.
it. I'm trying to
I have to pee
hold it.
so bad.
Do you want to go first?
We can go together. You guys just sit here. It's going to be nobody for a second.
For a second. Just for a second.
Break.
I'll be quick. Pee break.
Yes. Thank you. You read my mind.
Awesome.
So funny.
Looks like I won the race. Not like it is, but there's a little funny moment for y'all. How's everyone doing? Is the chat doing all right? I see it's blowing up. I'm sorry I haven't read any comments. It's just been a hell of a conversation. Joint pee break. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Yeah, it's good times. Good times. But I hope we're all doing good. This has been the best podcast so far. I'm really happy this happened, and it's been super fun. So I'm excited to bring more to you. And maybe I'll sing in the meantime. Here, I'll just pull my guitar out. Why not? Oh, wait, don't have to do that. Awesome. I was going to bring my guitar out. I won the race.
No, I'm back.
Yes.
Hey, congratulations. We both peed really fast.
Yeah, I think we knew what kind of pressure was on us. Everyone thought it was hilarious. I might even just clip that moment for like a comedic reel.
You should.
I should.
That's how real this is.
That's how real this is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not so real there are middle fingers flying. It's so real that we had to pee at the same time, and we just did that.
I threw the middle fingers earlier.
Yeah. I'll throw one now.
Yeah. I didn't even do it. Woo, there we go.
There you go. But yeah, I had this thing that walked in my house, and it was wild because, sometimes you think like, maybe that's not real. Maybe like how could you quantify that, And basically what it would do is it would walk back and forth in the hallway. Just, the sound of feet on carpet, just at a steady pace all night. And then, you wake up in the morning and there would be footprints in the hallway in a track. And then it would only go toward my room.
Yep. It was trying to fuck with you because you're a good soul.
And it would never really cross to the door, and it would never like go any other direction. And I had this dream last year or 22, because I was doing a lot of dream work in 22. So it could have been fallout or, stimulation from that dream experiment, or it could have been just, during it or a little bit before. Because there was moments where I was, more intense with my study than other times. And I had a couple of really interesting dreams, but this one in particular is special. I was walking around in the dark of that house, and I went into the bathroom. And this house is really interesting because what it has is, so there's the room, and then over here is my mom's room, and it's all white paint, standard white paint. So there's this hallway. And then there's this, let's see, this side, which if you flip it, this is my right. And there's a bathroom. And then right before the bathroom is a closet. It's a towel closet. It's like a linens closet. You open it, and on the side of the closet, on the right side, going into the bathroom, is like a little door. So you can reach in through the wall and grab what you want without getting out of the bathroom if you're like in the shower or something, right? And I remember seeing that specifically. And I went into the bathroom and there were these two adults, one male, one female, and they were chasing me. They were like, where the fuck is he? Like, where is the son of a bitch? And I'm sitting there like, like a little kid, I could feel it. I'm like small. I'm like, oh God, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And then I reach out and I flip the light on in the dream, and it's the bathroom from that house. And all I could hear was just like, ah, like that. And they were like, like you could feel the energy like just descending on the bathroom. And I was like, ah, and I like freaked out. It's like when when you go up on those really, that ride where you go up and it drops you. It drops
Superman at Six Flags does that.
I'm trying to remember if I remember. I've been to Six Flags.
Up, and then straight down. Stomach.
Not even like a roller coaster, like the tower where you're strapped.
The tower terror
that
thing.
Feeling of like that zero, that like it's not zero gravity. It doesn't feel like zero gravity. It feels like you're being pulled down. Yep. It's like you're all the way up here and then you fall. It's like you're like.
I still love it though.
And then you open. I love that ride 100%. There's a video of me in a slingshot in Paris.
I haven't done that yet. There's one down the street. It's like $50, and I don't feel like it.
It's kind of worth it a little bit. Just to have that thrill of being thrown into the sky. But I've always been an adrenaline junkie on that level. Like I love that stuff. I would totally do like a skydive, but I haven't yet. And but like that's the way it felt. And I woke up with panic. Like my heart was like, boom, 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 boom. I was like, oh my God, what is this? And there was this thick, sweaty kind of almost smell, like hot air. The entire room, it was just hot, dark, like way dark, like more than dark. You know what I mean? Like it's just black. And it's like this happens sometimes, this veiling. It's like you're sinking into the Cthulhu abyss. It's like, it's very, who's the writer for that? Lovecraft. It's very Lovecraftian. And it just reminded me, oh, this is what it used to feel like when I'd wake up in the middle of the night when I was a kid all the time. And I was like, oh, okay, now I'm understanding how well, just even like the way my body changed the atmosphere. Because when I woke up, it was not cold anymore. It was hot. When I woke up, it was smelled different. There was a sweat. The shadows literally changed their colors. It wasn't just dark. It was black. There were no light, not just refractions of light. It was like, there's something watching you from across the doorway over there. And it hasn't watched you like this since you were, 7, 8, 9.
Wow. Yeah. So it can affect you as an adult. I mean, I've constantly had dreams about that house that I grew up in that we talked about. But there's a lot of items in this house that were there, specifically in my room. This shelf right here to the right of me was in my dad's office, and I'm in my dad's office in this house. That's my room. When I moved back in, I went back to school.
Yeah, that's a matrix right there.
Yeah, so we've had to like put some sage, burn some sage, and good stuff like that. Lincoln Lady said you guys should do a collab. Stay tuned for that announcement.
We could talk about that.
We can? Okay.
We can. Yeah, why not? I mean, it will take time, but why not get the juices flowing?
I'll let you be the one.
I just I think that there are a couple of reasons why I was thinking about this, but I was looking at the way that people were talking about my dad, like, oh, he likes this and he would say this and he would do that. And I'm like, I think and I said this with Steph too, on Steph's Rock podcast. I was like, I think the number one misunderstood or even like redacted thing in the Chester Bennington story is where he came from. And I feel like that's hidden for a reason. By the time Chester became Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, he was more of a professional on every level than anybody in Linkin Park. He's a year older than everybody. He had 2 albums, an EP, and he had also done all of the major label circuit performances. So by the time that Linkin Park picked up Chester Bennington, he had already been seen by Warner Brothers. He had already been seen by a number of other major labels multiple times. And he even quit music by 1998. Okay. So when he joined Linkin Park, he was done. He was like, wow. I'm out of the industry. I'm tired of the shit. I've been doing this since I was 14. I'm out of it. And that's the reality of it. But like at the time, they were listening to music like Stone Temple Pilots, But also like Jeff Buckley. Chester was a huge fan of Jeff Buckley, who also had an untimely, suspicious, chaotic death.
Hmm.
And who was also in the studio making music at the time.
Buckley.
If you're not aware, Hallelujah, Jeff Buckley's version of it, is Chester's favorite version of the song.
Is that the one he sang at Chris's funeral?
Probably I think the one that I heard was more Leonard Cohen, but I do know that they're connected in that way.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if Tim Buckley was related to Jeff Buckley. I don't know.
Oh, I wonder too. Jeff had like
Tim was another one that died young, very talented.
History. Well, Jeff kind of like, David Bowie. He kind of did the same thing. David Bowie's name is not David Bowie.
I figured.
His name is something else. And he changed it because he wanted to be X, Y, and Z, but also it was an identity thing. And they did the same thing. Jeff did the same thing. I believe he took his father's name, but his father abandoned him. I have to do my research again. It's been a long time. But in essence, he was kind of abandoned by his father, and he took up the name to be better than that. That's what I remember. But I could be a little wrong about that. But, Jeff Buckley and other artists of that time were people that Chester was really... Oh, there, Lincoln Lady said Tim and Jeff are brothers. That's crazy.
Tim had a young and suspicious death too. So there you go.
Very interesting. I just listened to
Tim Buckley
Grace, the album Grace, his debut album, Jeff's debut album, for the first time in a long time, all the way through. And I was like, I listened to this in high school. Like I was doing So Real on guitar and vocals when I was in my room in like 2012,
Tim was his son, but still.
Oh, Tim is his son.
That makes even more sense, though.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, we just survived the 27 club. Woohoo!
That's right. I'm 28 now.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah, suck it. You almost got me.
You almost got me.
But then I realized that this is a joke, and if you want to be real, you got to be funny too.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to have fun.
I just, so back to the project, I thought about it and I was like, a lot of people could learn Chester through his influences. And I think it would be really cool to bring old music, kind of the way that Grey Days was thinking to do it with Grey Days, like bring older music, niche music as well, to a more mainstream audience in the form of covers. Because I feel like, I have my playlist, Loss of Life Part 3, which you can find on YouTube. I'm rebuilding it in Spotify for myself now because I didn't make it on Spotify. That's where all my prototypes were. I made it on YouTube Music. So now that we've switched again, I have to rebuild it. But, that's very fun. And I just kind of realized like a lot of healings come from, my relationship to music. I love doing karaoke and doing also just new stuff over stuff that I've heard a million times. And for me, it's just been a healing thing. So I thought, how cool would it be to take that idea of doing a cover and turn it into a community event. So even people with like almost no musical interest or talent or experience could be involved as well. Yep. And we could all, on all levels of the spectrum of musical interest and talent, create maybe an album of just really cool covers and genuinely take the cover and do something new with it. I was thinking like, how cool would it be to, do a Depeche Mode song in the style of Jeff Buckley, or like do, like a like Wood Kids Iron, like I mentioned before, in the style of Linkin Park, or something crazy. It would just be like really fun to do that.
We could end the whole thing with a cover of one of your dad's songs too. Close it out with one of his songs.
We could do I have so many, my voice is kind of thrashed from how much talking I've been doing on top of my executive functioning meltdowns for the last like 4 or 5 months. But I have a really high, like really, I think an impressive range. It's even more impressive than some of the stuff that I did on my album, which we were talking about before we got on.
By the way, it's so real. It's so cool. Go check it out on SoundCloud, From the Outside.
Yeah, please. That would be wonderful. It's called From the Outside Looking In, and it's in the vein of the stuff that I'm going to be making. I am making right now. But anyways, the idea of having cover like covers to do has been really fun because I've always loved the idea, but I've also always been like a one-man team. So, it's cool to have people of different backgrounds available. And I feel like, it'd just be really cool to do also some of Chester's songs. I would do like a Grey Days cover 100%,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could sing a lot of the songs pretty easily, but I also feel like if I were to change it, I could still give that level of understanding to it. Not only because he's my father, but because, if I sing something like just like heroin, for example, I don't need to be talking about heroin. I can associate many, many things in my life to the song Just Like Heroin.
Subjective. That's music.
And that's the beauty of it. So we could make so many covers that don't need to be literal one-to-one correlations with the actual material. And we could still, and I'm sorry, Emily, I don't mean to fucking smack you over the head with this one, but it is true. I guarantee most of us could give more of an authentic emotional interaction with the song than Emily gives Chester in his own songs right now on stage.
Yep.
100%. And it's not
They
even,
should have picked
really
you.
exist.
Why didn't they pick you? Out of all people, they should have picked you.
Because I told Anna that I would never lie about my circumstance and that people who are predators should be called out for being such.
And her husband is one. He always has.
Yeah,
I've always had that vibe.
Snakes don't really love it when you call them out.
No.
And he did have a long time, like at least 2 or 3 years to come clean and make it work.
Do you know about Scream 6? About the writer?
No.
Yeah, James Vanderbilt. He wrote The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, Ambulance, Michael Bay's last move, awful. He was posting on his 150-follower Instagram account when Scream 5 was coming out. Illuminati family, bunch of Freemason shit, pictures of him with kids that aren't his. Why are they hiring him? And they got Mike Shinoda to do the song for Scream 6. So I'm just letting
I thought it was Scream 4 for some reason. I might have misquoted that somewhere. I'll have to clean that up. 6, when I find it, I'll clean it up.
You said Scream movie. You didn't say the specific number, but it was number 6.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, I know he did that movie, and I thought that was so funny, and he's like, I don't know if we have fans. It's like, oh, you didn't know you had fans? That's interesting because as soon as you came out with a band that you said you weren't going to be doing anything with, you had no intention of doing anything with, you have a fully animated, heavy as the crown, League of Legends music video. That takes about 8 months, guys.
Not only that, but like, goddamn, like you look at the whole scenario in general, it's all fucked. Like, I don't even know.
Super weird.
I was onto something with that and I fell off of something.
It's okay. I'm sorry. I also had a thought. I had to get it out. My ADHD was like, oh,
how to do it. Scream 6 and him.
Yeah, we were talking.
Oh, Demi Lovato. She's a fucking sellout. She made a song called, I think it was like 28, and it was about how Wilmer Valderrama, when he was hanging out with Danny Masterson and fucking Ashton, and they were all doing that shit. It wasn't just Danny. He groomed her when she was underage. He was dating her when she was 16. Same with Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, Wilmer Valderrama is a fucking creep, and she wrote a song about it. And then she worked with Mike Shinoda on Still Alive on that same movie. So she's a fucking.
I didn't know Demi worked with Mike.
Yeah, that's Still Alive song. He produced.
I haven't heard that like that.
It's
I know the songs exist.
Yeah. And then before that, really she did that only on the radio or only on the YouTube version of that All Time Low song. I think it was Monsters. Is that right?
All I hear is Hours. That's what it was. Jimmy Necco, Monster. You should check it out.
I will. Yeah. No, but that All Time Low's been exposed for fucking underage people. So like, that's what I'm saying. These people show who the fuck they are by who they work with.
Dude, that's crazy.
It's sad because she made that song calling out Wilmer Valderrama, saying I'm that age now and I know it was wrong, and then she went and did that.
Ooh.
Right.
But see, and that's the thing is like, yeah, that sounds like a sellout move. Yes, I know I support the Smiths and they're allegedly, or support the Smith kids, not
Karen, where did you get that information? I need to know if that's real. If that's real, that will make all of this make sense.
Yeah, we really do need to know if Courtney Love and Emily Armstrong work together.
We really do.
We really do.
Also, that last podcast you did when she, what was her name again? I don't want to be rude. I left a comment.
Yesterday?
Yeah, the one you did yesterday. Steph. When you did Steph's interview and she mentioned that she had Emily on before and she was very evasive and didn't answer any questions. Balls. Love it.
That's what I was saying. I was like, dude, That's crazy that she was like that in 2014, especially with the problem around 2014.
Yeah, that turned out to be real.
What?
Her performing with Linkin Park, right?
You found it?
2014. I thought we did.
What happened? Oh no. Wait, why am I the only one here? What happened? Where's Joe? Joe! Joe! Can you hear me? Joe!
Sorry, my bad.
Joe, are you there?
Yeah, my bad. Hold on, I'm trying to figure this shit out.
Joe!
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Joe, where'd you?
Can you hear me?
Oh God!
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. Yeah, no, I'm just yelling for no reason.
No, I'm sorry. I clicked the wrong button. No, I thought that was confirmed. So that's not confirmed yet?
No.
Oh, damn.
No, somebody was showing me that the Revolver magazine Google summary actually has a complex linking system. So what they do is that in the summary, the ... means that they put two articles together. And that if you went to so if you look at the article I was looking at, and then you look at the related articles, you'll see that article that they're talking about with Emily joining as co-singer is actually almost word for word in the related docs. So I just didn't know that's how that worked. Somebody explained that to me. And since I went on hiatus and since I stopped talking about Linkin Park, it's just been a moment of like, okay, I'll talk about it when I talk about it. But yeah, it turned out that was not verifiable.
Okay, it's not verifiable.
It was actually a link in the summary that I was just unaware of how the system worked.
Okay.
But still, there are questions that need to be answered 100%. Somebody sent me a video of one of the, I forget where it was, but one of
people are
the
saying Emily did work with Courtney Love. This article's about this. And also, there's a witness to the crime that came out literally like less than a week ago, talking about how Callie DeWitt escorted them all out of the house. They heard a loud bang, and they ran out with the fucking note half written in Courtney's handwriting. And Kurt was literally talking about these 4-track demos he had right before wanting to start a record label. He was never able to do that. Your dad tried to do it too, and it went under. So for me to be able to do this is really fucking cool.
Which one are you talking about?
The one that just came out like less than a week ago. The guy that's missing an arm. I can't remember his name, but it says Kurt Cobain murder witness testimony.
Oh,
you didn't see that?
No. Can you send me links afterwards?
Yes,
I want to look at this.
I'll find it for you.
Yeah, but also I was asking what label are you talking about, because I think I know what you're talking about, but I want to know it.
Somebody mentioned it to me, so I don't know 100%. But now that you're saying that, that's confirmed.
What do you know what it was called?
No, I don't. It wasn't.
Okay, I think it was called Level 7.
Yeah, okay. You know what? That's interesting. 7 9 9 9 6
Chester
7.
Chester, I found this out in my research. I didn't know that they recorded all of the Dead by Sunrise record at the house that I actually stayed in 2018. I have a lot of, when I was doing like, if any of you remember my website, when I was, I stopped everything and I said it was under construction. There's on my Instagram, you can find the actual post. It says under construction. At the time I lived in that house, nobody felt like telling me that the entire Dead by Sunrise record had been recorded in the basement. Weird. And that they used to hold like essentially like basically Illuminati parties there.
Weird.
And I found out way later when I was telling my Aunt Lisa my Aunt Lisa about me going public and what my timeline was. I had sent her my timeline and all that. She was like, yeah, you didn't know that they did that here? And I was like, no. And we call it the telescope house. So anytime that you see my telescope emoji on my Instagram story, I'm talking about that kind of knowledge. When I say telescope, I say that kind of hidden in plain sight bullshit. But when I researched that, what I found was that Ryan Shuck, Amir Darag, Chester Bennington, Henry Nicholas of Broadcom, and a lot of other people tried to invest in what would have been like a modern Spotify or Apple Music called Level 7. That's the way I understand it right now. They had a bunch of artists ready to sign up for it, and they were building out the platform using Dead by Sunrise as a time to experiment with that. From
interesting name choice, by the way. And when Chester's will was signed, he was touring overseas with them.
That's true.
And he was Dead by Sunrise.
He was Dead by Sunrise. And Maybe I'll tell you what so I have I'm putting my tinfoil hat on. And so before we move on, that whole thing fell apart because there was litigation against Henry Nicholas. There's a lot of specifics to the case, but he was litigated against for backdating stock options, I believe, and also for drug possession. So a lot of that stuff fell apart. And I probably should not be talking about it, but it is part of my life and I will.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect.
You're within your legal right, though.
I think so.
Yeah, this is.
I haven't said anything that's not public. You can go look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Same with the thing. Like, I never signed an NDA, knowing about. I thought I told you about that already, knowing about them coming back. I wasn't sure.
You did. We talked about it a couple times, but the last time we talked about it, when I was at the gym, I was just surprised to hear it again because I think it had been like a couple of months. Yeah. And I was like, oh wait, now I understand that differently, that Linkin Park's back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why I've been so fucking upset, because I've known. And I was like, no, you can't do that. And she's like, they're going to do it anyway.
These people.
Fuck it. Fuck them. That's all I have to say to that. Fuck them.
These people.
These fucking people.
These people.
You're being nice. I'm the one that's using expletive.
Yeah, I'm being kind today. I'm not feeling like claws are out. I'm just feeling disappointed.
Yeah, I know. Well, I wrote a song for you.
Did you?
Yeah, you already know. It's on the new Falafel Dragon album.
Yeah, I do know about this.
Phoenix Rising and Factitious Definitions. And I wrote another one called From Zero to the Grave.
Oh, okay. So I was walking on the.
Sorry, Jackson Marquise, the fictional character, wrote those. Got to be careful here.
Oh yeah. Be careful, bro. You don't want to ruin the key
Don't want to get a litigate. You can't sue a fictional character.
So I was on the trail yesterday, and I was meditating on Emptiness Machine and Heavy Is the Crown. So I was listening to them back and back.
Listening to them.
Oh, I told you guys I would listen to it. I appreciate the art, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're doing something really crafty right now that is actually in line with my beliefs and in line with what I'm understanding. But the way they're doing it is specifically to draw fucking bad attention.
Right.
Maybe they're self-sabotaging right now on purpose. And so I had this whole fanfic in my head. I was like, okay, if this was realistic and I'm giving everybody the credit that I would give them as an optimistic human being without being self-centered, what would actually be happening right now? And, I know we're coming up on that 90-minute, and I had said that I wanted to try to keep it there. But if you're interested, I can share my fanfic with you. We can end it on that note.
Yeah, it works for me.
Because I'd be curious to hear your opinion.
Okay.
This is all my opinion. So I was listening to the songs, and, I'm curious because, and let me look real quick. The track listing for the new album is, because I think that that's so crazy. I'm getting like 1 million texts from my buddy Branson right now, but I was on airplane mode. There was no service at all. I'm just getting like tons of texts.
I've been getting a lot of spam text during this too. It's weird. Like the other few days ago, oh, this is TikTok recruitment. Oh, this is Spotify recruitment. And then I just got a thing about your USPS I didn't even order a fucking package. What the hell?
That's so interesting. Yeah, somebody keeps telling me, you need to call, this is an emergency. You need to call Waste Management. And I'm like,
yeah.
Waste Management this.
I got played by an AI claiming to be Hugh Jackman. Yeah, I posted about it. It's freaking ridiculous.
That's amazing.
How advanced this shit is, man.
Okay, so the track list. Let's go through the track list real quick because it's really important.
It is.
So
always is.
In chronological order, the songs are called From Zero Intro, The Emptiness Machine, Cut the Bridge, Heavy Is the Crown,
Cut the
Over
Bridge,
Each Other, Casualty, Overflow, Two-Faced, Stained. Oh, they dropped lyrics for Stained. IGYEIH, Good Things to Go. That's 11 tracks. So they have released songs in a chronological order. Okay.
Which is not typical for releases of singles.
It's not typical, but also it's not exactly chronological. It's chronological in track listing. It's not chronological in sequence. So they've released tracks 2 and 4. The Emptiness Machine came out with the LPU showcase on 9/5.
Yeah.
Heavy as the Crown came out in Hamburg the other day and was immediately followed up with a full-fledged animated League of Legends video and an announcement that they would be performing and also considered to be the anthem of that event. So
Good thing I don't play League
crazy.
of
And
Legends.
that's a song that was unreleased, by the way. How crazy is that?
Weird. The whole thing's
Oh,
weird.
they've got lyrics for a lot of things.
Yeah.
They've got lyrics
I wonder what
for...
cut the bridge means. If it's calling out Scientology, I hope, but I doubt it.
I didn't know that they were leaking all these lyrics, so they have actually lyrics for half the album leaked already.
We're both in the community. I'm bisexual. I've admitted it before. I don't give a fuck. I'm faithful to my woman, and I'm not poly, but I am. And I'm going to say it right now. Yeah. Emily's mother writes scripts for David Miscavige. They're openly anti-gay. She's a fake lesbian. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Thank you. Thank you for...
You're welcome. Love you.
From Zero, there are lyrics. So tracks 1, 2, 3, 4 all have lyrics released. Track 6 has lyrics and track 9 has lyrics. So about half the album has lyrics released for it already, with only 2 songs released.
I've released my lyrics for From Zero to the Grave, and you're gonna love it.
I would love to hear those.
I can read
this is wild because, again, they're saying they did not know about any of this, but here we go. They have half the album's lyrics released. They had a whole brand deal with a song they'd never released before. This is what I'm saying.
It comes from within.
It doesn't leak. Somebody said that the Heavy as the Crown performance was leaked. And I was like, it's not leaked if the band performs it on tour.
Yes, they leaked it themselves. Everyone's a fucking idiot.
So I was thinking about this and I was like, okay, so right now they have the Emptiness Machine and then they have the duo of singles, Heavy as the Crown, the Emptiness Machine. They sequenced it like that. So it goes Emptiness Machine and then Heavy as the Crown. Okay. Now I think, and this is just me, when I read into this, what I see is actually Mike Shinoda talking to me. And I also see Mike Shinoda acting as me, as a narrator, because we resonate on a lot of things. So I'm going to read the lyrics and just talk about that real quick, and then we'll move on to the theory. So he says in Emptiness Machine, your blades are sharpened with precision. I have repeatedly said that this is an ego fight to the death. If I call you into the ring, it's because I think that I can contend with you.
And not literal death, just to clarify to everybody.
No physical violence. I never touch nobody.
Yes.
This is of the mind and the heart.
It's a spiritual warfare.
Flashing your favorite point of view. I know you are waiting in the distance, just like you always do. Yeah, which is really funny because I think that line could be seen 2 ways for me. Waiting in the distance would be like the Jaime that's too scared to say anything and is just kind of hanging out in the peripheral because they don't want to ask for anything. They don't want to owe anything. They don't want to be made to be an enemy of anybody. That was me when I was younger. But there's also me now who's ready to use those blades. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So
you got it.
I could see that. And then he says, already pulling me in, already under my skin, like crawling, right? The voice in the back of my head. Paranoia is all I got left.
And like we talked
it watches
about
every
before,
move you make, laughs at every time you fall. Ha ha ha.
Weird.
I know exactly how this ends. Yeah, I know how this ends. I let you cut me open just to watch me bleed. Gave up who I am for who you want me to be. Don't know why I'm hoping for what I won't receive, falling for the promise of the Emptiness Machine, which if you read that from my perspective, it actually lines up with pretty much everything that I've said about the band so far.
Yeah,
things that I've mentioned saying to Anna. Exactly. It's an admission, but it's also an acknowledgement.
Which is what he's always done. I mean,
and by the way, this is a huge mind fuck for me because listening to this and trying to imagine that they're talking to me, but they're not trying necessarily to be my enemy, but trying to make themselves the bad guy to like sabotage themselves on purpose is really fucking interesting.
And what about the show you were at where they were literally mocking you on stage? Everything.
Literally, that's what I'm saying is like, well, when we get to the Heavy as the Crown song, we'll talk about it. But here she says, going around like a revolver. What happens when someone goes around like a revolver? It means you're shooting people down, correct?
Yeah, and then you run out of bullets eventually.
You think so? And also, what was one of my big things in my PSA? Did you watch my PSA prototype?
Was that the first when you first came out?
No, I released it and I said it was before it came out. So it was September of last year.
I
But
missed that. I hopped on
so
earlier this year.
I put my prototype for my public address, something that I was going towards in terms of being more formal with my coming back to society, to social media, which I didn't get to do. I posted that, and in that is my Andy Warhol pistol painting, the print that
Interesting.
Chester had. It was
Mm.
Chester's,
And Mike was
and it's
following you at this time too.
yeah, and it was red, black, and white, and it was also in a chant.
Weird.
It's in the movie that I made all the way back in 2020 when I released it.
So he's just been being a creep, paying attention to what you're making and
That's what I'm
not
saying,
saying
is
anything. That's
there are so
fucking
many things
weird.
in these lyrics. I'm like, so that's a callback to your music, but it's also you acknowledging my reality.
Yeah.
So I feel like somebody's been watching me for a lot longer, but I also feel like we'll get to Heavy as the Crown. You'll see. But they
I also
say
love
it's
how
been decided.
badass in that picture
Yeah.
that you're wearing Chester's shirt. I
Oh
love
yeah,
that. I love that.
I totally planned that out. I wore mostly his clothes there.
I figured it was
Yeah, I
great.
did that on purpose. It's been decided how we lose, hasn't it? Yeah, it has, because some of you know that there are things that I am talking about and things that I will only talk about in its totality. So you know that I've got things coming, and that
Mhm.
I've been saying I've been trying to get back to the more formal, like video essays and regular events like report drops, and where I give you all my resources as I'm researching and things like that. So you know it's coming back to more of like a full documentarian effort, not just a expressive, communicative, conversative thing.
Yeah, you're a
So,
great filmmaker. I watched your short films. They're
oh,
awesome.
thank you. I
They're
appreciate that.
awesome.
They say here, because the fire under the altar, I keep lying to. So it's weird because when you're worshiping something, but you're lying to it,
Yeah.
you're making up an alternate story. In my mind, I see a very specific image that I cannot describe for you right now, but some of you may know what I'm talking about if you think hard enough.
Yeah.
There's an altar, and the altar is Linkin Park. The altar is Chester Bennington, and I'll leave it at that. There's something that's been lying to.
Mm.
And then he says, I only wanted to be part of something. When listening to that just as a song, it sounds like an apology.
Yeah, it does.
It sounds like, I just wanted to be part of something. I just wanted to be part. I just wanted to do it. I just wanted to try. Given all their other music, it does sound like an apology.
Last year when he did that Howard Stern interview talking shit about your dad, his demeanor was a lot like those true crime police interrogation videos when somebody's murdered someone.
So is the Zane Lowe interview.
A lot of like looking around, a lot of you're guilty, bro. Fucking going down. Just you wait, motherfucker. Nobody gives a fuck. And the people who do are Scientologists or
Check this
defenders
out.
of Scientologists. And they're going down too.
We move on to Heavy as the Crown, and I hear you. This is why I'm reading it.
No, add to it, please.
It's pouring in. You're laid on the floor again. One knock at the door, and then we both know how the story ends. You can't win if your white flag's out when the war begins. He says, you can't start with surrender. You can't start with surrender. So in my mind, that means something, but I'll say more about what I think after I read the entire song.
Okay.
Aiming so high, but swinging so low. Trying to catch fire, but feeling so cold. Trying to catch fire. He's trying to catch, he wants the smoke. Trying to catch fire, but feeling so cold. Hold it inside and hope it won't show. I'm saying it's not, but inside I know. Today is going to be the day you notice, because I'm tired of explaining what the joke is.
That comment on one of your videos about Mike being a Mason, this screams Mason, revealing who you are in plain sight. And he's done this forever. I mean,
also keep in mind,
literally songs about like you can hear the back and forth between Chester and Mike, and there is a problem there. And you can see it all happening.
That's the thing, is like every single Linkin Park album is a diss album.
Yeah.
Every single one. So he's talking to someone. He's not just talking. He's talking to someone or something.
Yeah.
You could say it's the industry, but every single album, as I've shown multiple times, every single time they are talking about real life events that aren't being talked about.
And like
he's talked about sixing people. He's talked about taking people down.
Yeah.
He's talked about burying people's careers and burying them alive. Like, he's talked about it. So let's keep going. He says, fire in the sunrise, ashes raining down, real 1,000 suns energy. Try to hold it in, but it keeps bleeding out. This is the song they end every show with, bleeding out.
Yeah, bleed it out. Ty, hang me up from this news. I don't want to do the exact lyrics. Fuck Mike.
Yeah. You got it.
But still,
This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crown. You know how heavy the crown is? It's 180,000 pounds, according to Jim Digby. That's what I posted on my story yesterday. He said, look at that. That thing's 180,000 pounds. So that's the crown. The crown is the show. Okay. The crown is the performance. The crown is going to.
Hold on. I got to block this person.
Okay.
Trying to call us schizophrenic. No. There are no signs of that here. Get out of my channel. You're not welcome here. You're banned.
Yeah, stop spewing Samantha's hate speech.
Yeah,
clone.
It's false information. You want to go fucking speak false information? Go be part of the bullshit somewhere else. You're not welcome on my channel. This is my platform, not yours.
Please leave. He goes, turn to run. Now look what it has become. Outnumbered 10-1. Who's outnumbered 10-1? It's not Mike.
Oh, that's true. Brian Burns, we love you. That's a good friend of mine. Schizophrenic people wouldn't be this coherent. Thank you. We love you, Brian.
And also
Burns.
to dispel to dispel some stigma, schizophrenic people actually are rather coherent when they are themselves. So, it's more like a wave than it is. It's like waves on a beach than it is like one or the other. But
I mean, like, to take it to the point of cyberbullying, where you're commenting on two people who are speaking who are on the spectrum with ADHD, calling them schizophrenic, you can go to jail for that. Just let you know.
Literally, we have evidence. I'm not making up the lyrics. I have a
piece of paper that says that I have autism. Me and Jamie are very similar. Y'all want to fight on it? Like, just get the fuck out of here and don't come back. You're not welcome here.
I just think it's funny that like it's as soon as I start reading the lyrics, people are like, oh my god.
Yeah, I didn't think we had any spies in our chat, but I'll keep talking if they show up again.
But he says, turn to run. Now look what it's become. Outnumbered 10-1. Who's outnumbered 10-1? I think I've said that I'm outnumbered 10-1 on multiple occasions in different scenarios. It's one of the reasons that I've done what I've done, but it's interesting. Back then, you should have bit your tongue because there's no turning back from this path once it's begun. You already are on that list. You say you don't want what you can't resist, meaning if you're on the list, you don't want to be, that's too bad. So you might as well own up to your reality. Waving that sword when the pen won't miss, watch it falling apart like this. Wait a second. Why is he saying Linkin Park's falling apart in his own single?
He knows it's coming.
He knows it's coming, or he chose it coming.
He knows his time is short. It has been for a long time. People know. People know for a long time. I've known.
This theory is going to be really interesting, okay? So the rest of it's, this is what you asked for. Heavy is the crown. Fire in the sunrise, ashes running down. I tried to hold it in, but it keeps bleeding out. This is what you asked for. This is what you asked for. I'm tired of explaining the joke. Now, okay. So those two songs, I think what's going on is that the way that they're being released, the way they're being sequenced in the release is really important. It's really important to listen to because it's sequential. It's chronological, not sequential. There you go. And with everything given, he said, be a part of something. I think what I said was valid. Why would they call the world tour the From Zero World Tour if they're not touring from zero?
Yeah.
Why would they have
cash grab?
It is a cash grab, but I think if my theory is correct, it sounds like they're doing what they're doing on purpose so that Linkin Park can't exist anymore. You can't just say no to Linkin Park. You have to turn it into an example. And I feel like every one of them had something to do with Chester, including Emily. This is my fan theory. Yeah. That they all got on the band on this record together to prank themselves into the acknowledgement that they were wrong, that Linkin Park was complicit in the thing that happened, and that in reality, they're proving my point for me on purpose. I know this sounds super weird.
Has a valid question too. Did the label force them?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, I don't think so. It sounds like they went 100% into this. And so when I started thinking about the relevancy of the lyrics to my perspective, and I started looking at the way that they're expanding the tour, the way that they've done the League of Legends. I mean, guys, what is League of Legends?
A game that's been around forever that nobody plays anymore.
But what is the game? Like, what is the whole point? What is League of Legends? Can you describe that for the audience?
I've never played it.
League of Legends is a multiplayer online game where you
I knew that.
basically you basically it's a strategic fighting game. You make your point at like a chess match.
Huh.
And is that strange that he came out mocking me with the nothing? And we go back to the Alan Ashcroft. For those of you who don't know, Alan Ashcroft is a brand manager. He's someone who helped them create this thing they're doing right now. So everything that you see, from the incoherence to the confusing comments to the shade that's being given, to the randomness of the releases and the quickness of the entire thing, it's all designed. Everything, Alan said it from the moment that this dropped on August 30th, it's all been a controlled game.
Yep.
And it's been under the symbol of nothing or null. But what am I? This is the void. Null, void, nothingness.
Yeah.
It's really nothing.
It's
And
no
so from the
coincidence either.
very beginning, they've been shading me this entire time. They use social media as a gimmick, the same way that I tried to come back to social media. They did the same thing, but they did it in an annoying, catty way. They know what they're doing. Colin didn't say anything to me. He said bye. So what if the reason they're saying nothing is because they're actually on my side? But before they can actually take the blame, before they can actually come out, they have to actually sabotage and sink the Titanic. They have
I
to do
hope
it
that's the case.
by
I
playing
doubt
it.
it. I doubt it. I think they're all
But
fucking
here's the thing.
sellouts.
So the album is called From Zero.
Right.
But what if I told you that the offering, the it in all of these songs is Linkin Park as the offering, as the entity? I let you cut me
The sacrifice on
to
the
see me
altar.
bleed. I
It's
let
Linkin
you
Park.
cut me. What am I doing? The end of Linkin Park, the From Zero 2-part live stream, the Let's Talk About Linkin Park, the Mike Shinoda post-traumatic anniversary commentary that I gave. I keep cutting them and making them bleed, right? So to speak. They keep bleeding it out just to throw it away. They end every show with bleed it out. What if From Zero is actually that this album is a letter from Zero through Linkin Park, offering Linkin Park up as a sacrifice?
The original name of that's interesting.
What about that? Isn't that
I hope
interesting?
that's the case.
Because it says From Zero, as in, hey guys, this is From Zero.
Right. Yeah.
And to track back on things that I've said about Emily in the past, what's really interesting about this is that, people keep going, well, don't you know what satire is? Don't you know Emily's a stinger? Like, quit being so stupid. And I'm like, guys, I've literally acknowledged she's a decent vocalist. That
I'm not saying she's not
Linkin
talented.
Park I have a problem with. When she comes in and she goes, this is what you asked for. I literally, so emotional, like listening to it, genuinely listening to it. When she comes in out of left field with that extra scream, it is a callback to Giving Up. It is a callback. There are so many callbacks. There's a Bleed It Out reference. There are a couple of other references, like to 1,000 Suns. It's extremely intertextual. It's almost like Mike went, oh, you want to see me do a backflip? All right, well, this one's going to break my neck. I hope you like it. And it's like, damn, like you guys are going hard. So if this is true, they're all out there literally acting as a part of the problem to be part of the solution. And so what's really interesting about that is that, he's telling me, Jamie, this is what you wanted. This is what you asked for. You asked Anna for this. What did I ask for Anna? For accountability, for honesty, to take responsibility for the things that happened. She never responded, but she did the same thing that everybody else has done. She has not responded. Yeah. So this could be a very long game.
She mentored you for what, a year or two? So
yeah, she was somebody. Yep. And she knows, and she knows that what she did would be like, they all know essentially that at this point, if they were to violate what they've already done, which they are, it will cause this amount of fragmentation. I see that Knox said that I'm giving them too much credit.
You are.
And that's fair. I give but here's the thing is I'm thinking how smart they act like they are.
Yeah,
I'm not thinking about how stupid they pretend to be.
For multimillionaires, they're acting really fucking dumb, dude.
They are, but is it too stupid? Is it too stupid?
Right? It seems like
I see the album, I'm like, okay, From Zero. And then I'm like, wait, so the joke is that the crown is the touring. It is the Linkin Park reemergence. It is that. The joke is that Linkin Park is acting as stupid as they always have. for the purpose of building it up to break it back down, building it up to burn it down, burn it to the ground. Make sure you can't get that shit up again. Destroy the responsibility. Destroy the reputation by destroying your capacity to care.
Interesting.
How interesting is that? Why
hope it's
did
true,
they come back
Jamie.
without?
I really hope that that's true.
Where's Rob? Where's Rob? Why did Brad decide not to tour? Why are they doing a world tour named after an album they aren't touring?
Because
what are they going to say about their actual tour?
Deep down, the both of them have some semblance of respect for your dad. Deep down.
Mike Shinoda, by principle, has to have respect for me. No joke.
I don't know.
Though he said the things that I've said, he's been the way that I've been.
Weird.
There's no way that Mike Shinoda is sitting there and going, well, you know, look, I've proved myself. Everywhere you think that I wouldn't go because it would be too scary or too serious, or,
you went there.
You know, I went there. Like every time my life was threatened or told it was over, I said, okay, then end it. If you're going to kill me, go ahead.
Yeah. And we survived 27. So
exactly. And that's the thing is like, what if, and I thought about this, I was like, if I was being followed or stalked, which I was, then, and not just by Mike, but like for years by people who I'm sure I don't even know yet. And every time they have to have only seen somebody trying to be their best self. There has never been a moment of sustained hate. There has never been a moment where I have held on to those hard, heavy emotions that would kill most people or make them bitter and resentful. As much as you want to talk shit about my talking shit, you also have to acknowledge that I have been polite, I have been patient, I have been kind, and especially where it matters. I let you know when it's my opinion, and I let you know when I'm being respectful. And so, you know, I'm a very honorable individual. And so for me, it's very interesting to look at that and go, okay, so what if all of these things are true? That would be amazing. Now we have to see if they'll do it. And here's the thing is like, I feel like every one of the people who's tried to talk shit about me or tried to be against me in some form or fashion, they've kind of all realized like, oh, this is a good person. And I can say that without the ego. Like I've literally only helped to create solutions. Like it's not that I'm out here hunting people down. It's that I am intrinsically tied to people who are very visible and very public about their visibility. That's it. And I have the right to talk about it. Like, why else would you go I mean, Jim Digby in that featurette, they called it, they said behind the crown or whatever it was. It was like speaking on the production and the touring element. And it's like, wait, so you're saying that the actual tour is the crown, that Heavy is the Crown is tied to the strategic MMO where multiple players are able to play against each other in this digital space, which is what we're doing. And we make them believe. So make them believe that we are these calloused, awful, horrible people who don't give a fuck, who are literally abusing them so that they believe us when we burn it.
Yep.
And they want to look bad. Like, imagine how redeeming this would be if Emily knew the only way to get back at Scientology, the only way to get through this, the only way to claim responsibility for the things that happened to Chester and all these things, like say she's involved, it would be to be in the band and to send it like she's sending it, right? She's getting so much heat. If it's the case, it's a genius idea.
In November, we will.
Well, because dude, here's the thing is like, she's good though. Like, why is she singing? She sounds terrible singing Chester songs,
I know.
But genuinely,
she's trying too hard.
I listened to her scream 15 times yesterday. I just kept doop, doop, doop. And I was like, no, you're not going to trick me. You are all too fucking talented. It's too crazy. Like, you guys are insane. This is insane. Like, they must be spitting harder game than I'm spitting. You know what I mean? Like, because they've been in it longer. They have deeper ties. Like who was the one who snitched on Diddy?
I don't remember, but it was the guy
I don't remember either.
Involved in shooting, I believe, Pac.
There was somebody who came out and said he was aiming for Sean and not Pac.
And someone else said that Sean put him up to it.
That's what I'm saying is like,
Yeah.
so imagine that these things are coming out and you've known these things. You've been around Jay. He executive produced your Rising Tide. He executive
Yeah.
produced your Collision Course. Like,
Yeah.
imagine
And
these
he
things.
Mike Shinoda worships Jay-Z. We all
That's
know
what I'm
that.
saying is like, but does he?
Right.
Does he though?
Now that
Because
he
Mike Shinoda
knows
is really
him.
good at greasing palms. Mike Shinoda is really good at being a dick when he needs to be. He's really good at acting the part. But he's also genuine and kind. Like, he took me to Kauai. I had such a hard time believing the mean things people were saying about Mike because I didn't know where to place it. But like, I know now what it means to lie. I know what it means to move on. I know what it means to hide shit. And how do you know that Chester didn't always plan to die?
I love that you just put waiting for the end in there.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
beautiful.
I know what I'm talking about. What if Mike Shinoda and Chester and everybody in the band had a plan? What if their plan was to read the chart? What if their plan was to avoid something like the hunting party because people were listening to pop songs? Use the pop songs as a gateway to get in through One More Light, to gain more access to people through time. And then this was the ultimate game, was from zero. It was, hey, we watched you. We came up like a dog on a chain, but the underbelly's sicker than it seems. And it seems ugly, but it can get worse because even a blueprint is a gift and a curse. Once you got a theory of how the thing works, they want the next thing to be just like the first. And I'm not a robot. I am not a monkey. I won't dance even if the beat is funky. Far from lazy, opposite of punk. Y'all ought to stop talking and start trying to catch up, motherfucker. And all the people say, when they come for me, I'll be gone. Because when they come for Mike from zero, he's going to be done.
Yeah.
And how beautiful would that be if Emily was involved, or she knew somebody was involved, or she knew Scientology was involved, and the only way to get back was to join Linkin Park and drive that fucker into the ground. And the music
they
is
did,
good.
though.
It's stupid. I listened to the songs thinking I was going to hate them. And again, I listened to each one like 15 times in a row. I just kept, and I was like, you know what's really weird in my research on the hunting party? Mike Shinoda wrote the hunting party.
Yeah.
Chester walked in on it.
Yeah, right. Because he left for Stone Temple Pilots.
He left for Stone Temple Pilots, and he came back and he saw that Mike was reciprocating his energy.
Interesting that Samantha tried to tell Chester not to do that, by the way. She shared that with me, too. I haven't shared
She
that
tried to
before.
stop what?
She tried to stop Chester, saying it was disrespectful for him to join, even though Scott was okay with it. I mean, Chester was the biggest STP fan ever.
Yeah, did you see the article, though, where Chester told Scott to fuck off?
Did he really? Well, Scott wasn't really in a good place, so I mean...
He wasn't, but there was an interview, in my research that I did this, I found this interview where Scott was upset. It was like a Sublime situation. He was like, you have to call it... Yeah, he was like, it's Stone Temple Pilots with Chester Bennington. They
kind of did on the album.
No, they did. That's how they ended up being able to settle that. And they had a feud for a second, which I imagine was hard for both of them. And Chester said, this is my fucking band now. Leave it alone.
Ooh.
And there's an interview. I'll find it. It's in my timelines. I think it was with Revolver, but I might be wrong. But it was really interesting. And so, when I'm looking back and I'm seeing it, I'm like, you know what? But I know how callous people can look when they're stuck between two worlds. Like, my dad told me to look critically into the albums, knowing that I would find symbols. And he told me that those symbols were real and to piece them together. And then I did, and I found Mike. But Mike also is the one who writes the song. So to go back to the album, Emily said she was taught 8 months ago to sing. What if what Mike said is more literal? What if Mike wrote every word and they produced an album over 7 years they knew would be the perfect shot at the industry, the perfect nail in the coffin? And they brought Emily on because they wanted her to emulate Chester so they could embody the spirit of the hate that they've experienced through their process of time. So in reality, by the time Emily came back on, yes, she did audition or perform for the Linkin Park album in 2019. But What if all the other artists also did the same thing? And the reason they brought Emily back is because it was always intended for Emily to do that. So they spent 8 months learning how to sing Linkin Park songs. The reason that she's over there saying in Germany before Heavy as the Crown is played, this may or may not be a new song, is because she knows. And she's purposefully spewing chaos to make it hard to follow and to incite anger. They want people to be moshing. They want people in their feelings. They want people to be inconsolable. They've proven that. They want people to be in their feelings about it, radicalized about it. They want it. And in the documentary for the road crew and the production, they said Linkin Park wanted a stage where they could make the most contact with the crowd. They wanted the eye contact. They want to be looking in the eyes. They told the entire audience, you are Chester. So when the audience is listening, they are Chester. That means that when he says you, this is what you wanted, they're talking to Chester. When they're talking to Chester, they're talking to you as the individual, meaning me, Chester's living embodiment.
Yep.
And I've said it, we walk together. Go back and look at my 320 post from last year on Instagram. I said, they don't know how, but we walk together.
Yep.
They don't know how we move, but we move together. And they're saying the same thing. We move together. This is what you wanted. Yep. And it's like Emily coming through like, this is what you wanted. Like, shut the fuck up and listen. It's a fucking joke. Don't get so fucking in your feelings about it. Watch. Yeah. And so I'm curious to hear, because in the album, the track listing, it says Two-Faced. It says Casualty. What is the casualty? Go to Hunting Party. Keys to the Kingdom. What did Zane Lowe drop at the end of the interview? Bro, that part in Keys to the Kingdom, it's like the last 5 seconds. That part, Keys to the Kingdom, man. Oh. And what did Mike say in the interview? Who gave you the fucking album?
Holy shit.
There's some kind of game being played. They're playing
definitely.
The nothing game. They're playing the MK Ultra game. They know what's up. And this is my theory, is that they actually do know whether they're going to martyr themselves or whether they're going to use this as an opportunity to change. And that the joke is that the album is an apology.
Manhunt 2, MK Ultra, looks just like your dad. Just saying.
That's an interesting thing to say. And I can't wait to
learn. 2 personalities within one person. There's no way to get your hands on it. If you go ARG and get a PSP thing for your computer and then get the uncut version, then you got it. Use a controller.
Emulation is what this is about.
You can't even buy the game anymore, so really, I don't think they give a fuck.
Well, and listen, sometimes it's important to remember that there are politics behind these kinds of movements. Like Warner Music Group, how many CEOs are stepping down right now?
Not only that, but then you got Ron Stewart, the senior vice president.
Yeah, you showed me that.
Ron Stewart, the senior vice president of Warner Brothers Records, the urban division, has supported me sharing Chrissy Bixler's letter. I can't tell if he's trying to get us or not, but it seems like he's on our side.
Dude, he told you to keep going.
He told me, he said, keep doing your thing.
Do what you're doing.
I see you.
But that's the thing, is like, it is indirect. Like what if there's more conflict behind the scenes than you might imagine? What if Anna really did get upset, and Anna really did try to make a change, and Anna really did push them to be their best selves? What if Mike saw this is what I was kind of saying. He's like, I've been stalked for a long time. What if every person that tried to come against me realized how pure I am in my intention, and it actually hurt them to hurt me?
Yes.
And what if all of them were like, wait, no, we got to, this is the love language. We got to do it then. If we came up in this way, we got to go out this way. If we came up with this, if we develop this affluence in this cultural phenomena, we need to use it in order to undo the magic that we spelled, thinking that we were doing the right thing and doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. I mean,
I know
all the albums talking about being false promises or false prophets and the coming. I just hated to break it to Brian Burns. I called him before this interview, and he was telling me how much he loves Minutes to Midnight. And I'm like,
good album.
Sorry to ruin it for you, but from there on.
And it seems like they're being self-referential on that level too. I'm glad you brought up Minutes to Midnight, because Minutes to Midnight literally defines what moving on means for the band. The moving on for the band, and I talked about this with Steph as well, I believe. And I said, what's really interesting about this is that the album says specifically, like, what I've done. it's not about integrating your pain. It's not about coming to peace with it. It's about leaving it behind, forgetting it exists, and trying to move forward into something that has nothing to do with it. It's about dissociating, not associating. And that is it. So when you hear leave out all the rest, that's what they're saying. When you hear about 1,000 Suns, part of the damage done in the dropping of the bomb is the violent separation from truth. I know what it takes to move on. It takes lying, is what
I know
Chester
how it
said.
feels to lie. All I want
I
to do
know
is
how
trade this life for
exactly.
something new, holding
So,
on to what I
what
haven't got.
if the reason that Linkin Park's music emulates or represents years in advance Chester's actual death is because Chester was actually going to die for the band as some kind of sacrifice, so the band could use him to change the culture?
And I've thought that for a few years by going
Because it's
back
too
and
similar.
listening.
Like, I'm wishing I
It's
had the
weird.
strength to stand. This
Right.
is not what I had planned.
Holding on to what I haven't got.
Holding on to what I have not got. I know what it takes to move on. You got to lie about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
And
All I want
that's
to do
not
is
me.
trade this life for something new.
Something new. And what? Something new is from zero, isn't it? This is so new. This is so innovative. This is so. What if I'm getting the cold shoulder from the people in my life who care because they can't say anything? Otherwise, the entire thing is in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Why they got to push it so hard? Digby literally said, the hardest part about this production is keeping everybody on time. Sleep is really the problem here. Why are they moving so fast? Why are they pushing so hard? Wait, I can think of a couple things going on. What if they're actually not responding particularly to me? What if the amicable resolution of Kyle Christner was that they actually did give him what he wanted and they did hear him and they just dismissed him out of court and paid him off and said, just shut up. Just let us do it. Come on.
Yeah. Because he
We
got
don't
the
need you
royalties.
whistleblowing on this, bro.
Yeah.
And, he would understand, right? Because that would mean that it's a concerted effort across a large time frame, 20 plus years now of these people trying to figure this out. What if this is actually timed with the Sean Combs?
Yeah, no,
and
it's
Jay-Z
all
connection?
coming. It's all
What
coming out.
if they're not taking advantage of the chaos seeded by that interaction so that they can distract everybody and take advantage of them just for the sake of taking advantage of them, but they're taking advantage of people so that they can gain the reins on a narrative they're about to blow the fucking lid off of? It's a real question. And I haven't heard or seen any of the other lyrics, but also it's in the delivery. The phrasing is really important. So I'm very curious to look at those lyrics and to see what songs they put out next, because in reality, I think the true sequencing, just like a Tool album or, something more involved like Black Star by David Bowie, his last album, there are these hidden messages. What if the sequence of the album is actually... He did die weird. And Chester was a huge fan. That's why he named Dead by Sunrise Snow White Tan in the beginning, is because it was a Ziggy Stardust reference. So if Chester's making all of these really deep references all the time and his symbols are so consistent and the band knows that and they're all intelligent multimillionaire savants, then what's to say that they aren't out here literally doing the thing? And so, with that being said, I think that the release of the singles is the sequencing of the songs.
Yeah. No, and they're all in order too. And like the theory you presented actually makes sense. We got a lot of people in this.
Oh, are they talking?
Agreeing.
I can't see all of them.
Everybody's saying it. Like everybody was saying, yo, this actually makes sense. Holy shit. Preston was one of those people, actually. I don't even know who Preston is. Thank you for watching.
Hey, Preston,
I appreciate that.
Well, and I thought that was so interesting because also, what is heavy?
Right.
Why is everything so heavy?
Yeah.
And he says, because it's pulling me down. I am the problem. I am my own casualty. What song did they perform first off the Hunting Party? Oh yeah, you know what? We didn't put the Hunting Party. You're so smart, Jamie. Let's play Keys to the Kingdom.
Oh, sorry.
She goes, no surprise, no control. Throw the keys to the kingdom down that hole in my eye. I'm my own casualty.
Whoa.
Fuck up everything I see. Fighting in futility.
Before this happened, you read those lyrics on our stream.
Did I? Well, there you go.
Yes. And it was weird because we were talking about Heavy and how that was a weirdly selected choice to have Kiara
Yeah.
on it, and she hasn't come back until recently for music. So it's
It's true
like,
too.
and that all
And
leads together.
and then what's heavy? Heavy is the crown, but heavy is the heart filled with anger. Heavy is the finger. Heavy are the words unspoken. The promise is broken, the definitions of which go unspoken. He says, cross out the days gone by, coming back from the madness, from the blackness. I'm saying the fact is, I've been swinging through life like a clenched fist. Fuck sanity. I want to bleed. The pain I feel is all I feel. There's no other thing. And what does he say? That's blackout. Which comes after? Waiting in the end. You push it back down. Blood in my eye. What's in the eye? Great. That's a Grey Days song. It's blood. It all ties back together.
Yep. Your dad knew what he was doing.
And you know what? It's crazy. If Mike Shinoda and the gang pull this off and they genuinely change and are who they say they are, and they're doing the real fucking work to get this done, they also entangled Sean Dowdell and all of Samantha and her cronies and all of these other fucking people who are disruptive, chaotic, almost cancerous forces. And they're literally, that would mean that they're saying this to them, like, your guys' knives are your point of view. You're always waiting in the distance, trying to take us down, not understanding what we're coming from. And that's so fucking fascinating because, again, if you do the intertextual work, what you realize is that when they say heavy is the crown, this is what you asked for. It's heavy is the finger, heavy is the heart, heavy are the promises now broken, heavy are the words unspoken. That's the crown. And what was unspoken? What was anger? What was the heart, the bleeding heart of the situation? The one more light to her. Heavy is the crown, 180,000 pounds. They're taking it across the planet right now in a nonsensical fashion. It's from zero. It's a goodbye letter from the original band who absorbed Chester.
Not only that, but then you look at that last performance video of your dad performing with Linkin Park, and it's like, you could see it in his face. He knew what was coming. He knew. You could feel it.
Well, also, like, imagine, like, when there's that story that Jim Digby told where he calls Chester the demon, and he says, Mike Shinoda told me to go tell Chester to take off those glasses for that Jimmy Kimmel live performance.
And he said, go fuck yourself.
And he said, go fuck yourself. But what if there was a game being played at the time? Because at the time, Hillary was being, again, we're back at the same thing we were talking about before. Hillary was being investigated by the FBI for her server, which she did what a lot of celebrities are doing right now to their Twitter. She deleted over 33,000 articles consciously. She lost her phones. That's where the Frazzle Drip and the Pizzagate and all these other things came from.
Which is all true.
Podesta had been hacked.
Sorry,
the DNC had been hacked.
Snopes is bought and paid for by George Soros. All of those PolitiFact, all of it that says this isn't real, that's all bought and paid for by George Soros, who paid for bricks to be put on the street during the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. An old white billionaire. So do not believe those websites because they're not true.
That's what I'm saying is, like, you have these incredible moments in history where, she's being investigated by the FBI. The DNC's been hacked and leaked. So it's shown that the DNC is totally bought and paid for, that the John Podesta leak happened. Then Pizzagate came out. Then there was, again, the Frazzle Drip on the hard drive that she was keeping, or the
allegedly Chris Cornell and your father both saw that video.
Allegedly, I just found out from somebody.
Courtney Love.
Allegedly, it includes Courtney Love. Allegedly, it includes Paul Walker.
Oh,
somebody came up to me recently, and they said that they were ex-military and that they had all this information. They know Mike outed Chester. They know that that Paul Walker, Chris Cornell, and Chester Bennington were all having conversations about human trafficking before.
I believe it. Look at the way Paul Walker died. Look at the way that car exploded. That is not a regular car accident.
All weird. And there's weird stuff about Paul Walker too, but we won't get into that right now.
I believe it.
And it's just interesting to think about all of this and then to look at what they're doing and the fact that they said their entire campaign is about sowing chaos for the purpose of utilizing it because they're a part of something. So they're about to tell everybody what they're a part of. I'm arguing that Linkin Park is playing stupid Just the same way that Jaden Smith and Willow Smith might be playing
Oh yeah,
stupid.
because they're fucking Scientologists. Look at their parents.
Or they were, you know,
they
and
were,
these and if you ever listened to Jaden's music, by the way?
Well, I've never been a fan, and then I had that whip my hair back and forth by his sister always stuck in my head.
That's not
awful.
real. That's not this.
No, I know, but that kind of turned me off of anything.
I hear
that
it.
Either one, and the movies
took
he did
me
with Will were
years.
really bad, so it's like hard for me to like.
Their music is genuinely good.
Now, okay, thank God.
You should listen to his because Sire, Damn, and One More Light all came out the same year.
2017, 7 years ago. It all has
Kendrick and Jaden are known to be in cahoots, undercover, pretending to be certain people, using their music to describe the system itself.
Yep. Childish
Gambino, otherwise known as Donald Glover, is also involved in that. So where Kendrick's doing Euphoria, Meet the Grams, Not Like Us, Childish came out with Yoshinoya, and Jaden came out with Sire and Iris, as well as Day Tripper 3. But here's the thing, is like you should listen to his music. I'm curious to see what you think of it, because he says he's a Freemason. He knows that they've brainwashed everybody and that they're killing kids and that they're trafficking people. He knows all of this, and that he's using his musical identity in essence to hide himself amongst the celebrity cult and release, delayed attacks on people through art. And the more you listen to it, the more it's like, wait, so he was at the Diddy parties? Like, wait, so he knows Justin? Wait, so
Justin, look at him. Look at that interview he did with
He knows ASAP, he knows Tyler, he knows, or I guess I should say ASAP Rocky, because there are a couple of different
Seriously, I just saw a thing on it. The interview Justin did with Zane Lowe a couple years ago, where he's literally crying, not under, like, he's like, you don't like coming up in it, like a confrontation is like, you don't know what it's going to be, and that's different than when you think. He's crying, and it's like, well, then you look at all those interviews with Diddy talking about how he had guardianship over fucking Usher, and how like he doesn't have guardianship over Justin, but we're gonna have a hell of a weekend. And Usher's talked about those parties and what went on when he was 14 years old, and Howard Stern asked Usher, would you bring your kids to those parties? Oh, hell no.
Yeah,
it's all right there. It's all there.
Well, and just so you know, there was a moment in time where Justin was running around shirtless backstage at SNL as a child. That's when I had my photo with him. But also, Chester had actually, my cousin Alyssa she liked Usher for a little bit, because she, he's R&B pop, little girls, especially like the dancing and the, the culture of it. It's just, it's fun to hang out and do that kind of stuff with your girlfriends. Too. Exactly. It's like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. We're predestined to accept this kind of art. And so, there's this poster of Usher, and he's shirtless and sopping wet from sweat or whatever. And he's got his 6-pack and whatever. And he signed it and gave it to Alyssa.
Oh, really?
And I remember Chester lighting Usher up.
Really?
He was like, don't you fucking give that to my daughter. Don't you fucking talk to my daughter. Like, you don't do that. Don't ever fucking do that again. He was so mad that Usher gave her a shirtless signed poster of him. And
that's who
he was like, and it was like, looking back now, it's like, wait, maybe dad wasn't just being a dick. Maybe dad knew about Sean Combs. And then, to circle it all back, the guy who was Chester's boss at Warner Music Group was Leonard Blavatnik, and he was a boss for about a decade. And before he owned Warner Music Group, after he bought it for like $3-something billion, I believe was what I saw in my research. It might be more than that, somewhere between 3 and 5, I think. But he was a board member of Warner Music Group when Linkin Park was coming up. So you have this guy who, for all intents and purposes, is a billionaire, who's also what you might call a Russian, or it's not a Russian, I always say Russian, Ukrainian oligarch. Russia and Ukraine are not the same thing. And he is now like in control of one of the biggest music entities in the world. And then you have him starting this learning center in conjunction with, I believe it was Boston University. Again, these are things that I'm just pulling off the RAM, but I could be a little wrong. They're mostly right. The gist of it is right. He started this learning center, the Leonard Blavatnik Learning Center. And they, in 2022, they initiated their producer mentorship program with the intention of developing the next cultural mind of the industry. And the very first producer, the first executive that joined that program was Tariq Brooks, the president of Sean Combs Enterprises. So he is Diddy's president, and nobody's talking about that. Nobody is asking questions. Nobody's like, wait a second, how did that happen? Yeah,
You're
we
not nobody
acknowledge
and
that.
you are.
Well, I know. I mean, I'm the
No,
it's kind of
we're
a
making
joke.
it a
It's half and
point
half,
here.
but we're making it a point here again. And I think there are a lot of really interesting questions. Like Mike Shinoda is now photographed with the Clintons as early as 2014 in Portugal after
Yeah.
Rock in Rio.
And then all that
Then
Epstein shit.
2015, he's over there with the Clintons and the Burkles,
Mm-hmm.
who are a top, like they're very expensive. They're a very expensive family with big poles and ties. One of the Burkle's son died of suspicious circumstances, and that's in 2015. Then in 2016, you have the presidential election, and you have Chester being forced off to rehab. In 2017, you have Chester promoting Hillary, and you have the more ties. You see
And
that
they
they
still
went
got
and
him.
toured the Haiti recycling company that Mike Shinoda owns. And it's like, wait a second, like you guys were really, really deep. And even that was undercover. Like those things are undercover. When you see those photos, they were hiding. Okay.
Speaking of that, I want to make
Yeah.
a point. Back to the Snopes and the PolitiFact bullshit.
Mhm.
Again, George Soros backed. You can't trust it. It did say one true thing. Chester and Chris were not involved in the silent children.
That is true.
They were involved in their own investigations. There is proof of that from Jamie. I'll let you say it, Jamie.
Well, I think it's just important to recognize that these people have to move in symbols.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing I could say. The second thing I could say is that Chester is consistent in the symbols he uses. If you go to the playlist, see in his own words on YouTube, you can listen to all of Chester's discography: Stone Temple Pilots, Dead by Sunrise, Linkin Park, and Gray Days, all in sequential order. You can take note of what themes, what symbols are repeated, and it's focused on Chester, not Linkin Park. So though you'll have Linkin Park in there, it's very much so Chester from his perspective. That's what he chose to inscribe into stone, was his music. And I think that's really important to look at, because when you see it, what you see is that there is a lot of stuff being talked about, whether it's the 90s Phoenix scene, which was something that I was enraptured in because of my mom's substance use and abuse.
All that. We went over all
where
of it.
he came from, his internal struggles and his external struggles growing up. I mean, we're both products of the environment my father was born into, whether it's me and Joe or me and Chester or me and Elka, it doesn't matter. And we're all in it together. And I think it's just kind of crazy. Like there's a lot more consistency to this with the knowledge, once you know what to look for, you're like, wait a second, that's everywhere. And it's, some people might see it as obsessive or grief ridden, but it's not. Like, this is an analytical study of text. This is like going and reading a book and then writing an essay about it. Okay. I will be doing album by album playthroughs, by the way. I'll be doing See in His Own Words as a series of commentary about these albums. So I'll help you guys walk through it and see it from my perspective, and then you can go see it on your own. But the reality of the situation is that the Silent Children documentary was actually already finished from my research. The documentary that you can find about that is the thing. It wasn't meant to be any bigger. It was meant to be a proof of concept for a greater concept. And they were involved with people who were involved with that. It's not that they did have the intention of making this documentary necessarily. It's that a bunch of worlds collided. There was a collision course predetermined by the trajectory of the outreach of the charitable spirit of the people involved.
Chris just made a really valid point. I didn't hear about that.
I didn't hear about that either.
That's interesting, because Harry's pushed like Freemasonic symbolisms throughout his music for a while. So that surprises me.
Freemasons aren't bad. I just want to say that.
No. There's a sect within it.
But
there's a sect within it, the 33rd degree.
Within that practice that do focus on world domination and control and
Yes.
things like that.
Even the
There are people
Freemasons
out
will
there
admit
who,
that too, that there is that within
well, I
it,
mean,
and they don't
I
like it.
technically count as a Freemason. I'm self-initiated. I have my knowledge. I am using art and the tools available to me to use that knowledge to my own benefit.
Aren't
I'm
we
really not
all?
doing exactly. I'm not doing anything other people aren't doing,
Right.
but it's the way I'm doing it, right? So I technically am kind of in the Freemason realm, if you want to say that, but I'm also not officially affiliated with anything because I make everything of my own. So
And that's the way it should be. There shouldn't be any
yeah, I
like
agree.
group to like even like it's funny going back to the whole Christian control thing. The Bible even says to practice church at home.
Well, yeah, because you want to practice embodying your thought and feeling. And so when you marry your actions with your beliefs, what happens is you produce reality that is otherwise inaccessible. And that's what the truth of Freemasonic and other, hidden occult practices
Right.
mean. It means that of the above is of the below. You guys are integrated. There's a little bit of each in each,
Speaking
And
of, that's a
so,
great movie,
yeah,
by the way. As above, so
it
below.
is. Oh,
I
I love that
saw it. It was
movie.
great in theaters too. Holy shit! When she's like
Oh, I
running
could
the first person
imagine.
at the very end when she's kicking the zombie in the face, dude, it was so
I
cool,
I
so cool.
thought I when I saw that movie the first time, I was like, no, for real though. This makes a lot of sense. Like this movie's well made
It
and it's
was
so
very well
cheap.
made.
It's so
Yeah,
cheap.
cheap found footage movie. How great was it? It was way better than Blair Witch ever had the credit to be.
Well, I think because of something like Blair Witch, we were able to have um above so below,
Yeah,
as above so below. But
yeah,
also, the same thing could be said, say my theory about Linkin Park is true.
right.
Then we wouldn't be able to have From Zero, the love letter, the suicide note from the band,
Yep.
without hybrid theory.
Yeah, and then you look at also his performance in Saw 7. Look at what they did with it. And
That's
that's
interesting.
also weird. Lionsgate, well, somebody exposed them for like when they were gonna start the company together, and they're like, "Well, when you're in the industry, forget about your kids or you're fucked." And then he didn't join. It was an actor who exposed it. So I mean, it's like, well, that all makes
To
sense.
speak on that, that's actually a cool point that you brought up, because I want to say that, you know, in reality, when you look at the timeline for me and my father, we didn't have time together. You know, Hybrid Theory was released in 2000. Hybrid Theory was followed up by Meteora in 2003. That was followed up by MTM, Minutes to Midnight, in 2007,
2007, yeah.
which at the time Chester was working. He actually had the entire Dead by Sunrise album recorded and mixed and mastered at by 2006. But because of Minutes to Midnight and some finagling, finagling is a weird word. The industry actually muddied Chester's solo album Dead by Sunrise out of ashes, and he had to re-record it. So he released it not in 2006, but in 2009 with the same band that he started with, Snow White Tan. And then in 2010, they released A Thousand Suns. In
Right.
2012, they released Living Things. 2014 was Hunting Party. And 2017 was One More Light. In
Yep.
between that, during the hunting part, right before the hunting party, in between Living Things and the hunting party, which is a 2-year gap, they not only toured Living Things, but also Chester went off to work with STP and Kings of Chaos, came back for the hunting party, toured that. Then, he did STP. Well, he finally got out of that, but, he worked with Mark Morton, and then he was back in One More Light. And so
And then that
in
was it.
reality, there have only been 2 to 3 years in between each one of these albums. That included the production period and the touring period. And then Chester had his own side projects. He was trying to do Dead by Sunrise, Stone Temple Pilots, Kings of Chaos, Bucket of Weenies, things like that. And then you have him trying to be a dad.
Yeah.
So like
He
he
had enough
missed my high school
time.
graduation. He left Arizona before I even got to my senior year of high school. By the time I got to my senior year of college, he was dead. Like these things are really important to remember, because when people talk about Chester, they're talking about the front that Chester had to give as someone contracted into the business for 17 years. And that's it. So like you're talking about an indentured slave, a bunch of people making albums against the industry. Linkin Park is an anti-industry band.
But
They come
they
up
are the industry at the same time. It's interesting.
right. Well, that's the thing is like they said, I'm the Banksy, you're the brainwash. Get the picture? It's like that until it breaks. And that's really interesting because what it means is that these guys were maybe not even trying to renegotiate for less time with Warner Music in 2006, because in 2006 they actually went up against Warner during the major CEO change. There was a big restructuring of the company, and they were refusing to see. Linkin Park tried to litigate. They seem like assholes because they seem like they might be entitled on this situation. But what they were trying to do in 2006 was actually litigate against Warner Music Group, because Warner Brothers Records, which was, in the process of changing over leadership, they took all of the money from the sale and they put it towards anything but the artists. So that's why they wanted the $60 million advance. That's why they wanted the change in the record deal. Well, it ended up with a $15 million advance, I believe, and 2 extra albums tacked on to their sentence. So in reality, maybe these guys were actually like Odin in the tree, and Odin and Yggdrasil. He's putting his spear through his own heart, hoping that if he hangs long enough from the tree, he'll be able to pull wisdom from the great abyss at the sacrifice of one's body. And what's really interesting about that is that One More Light was the end of that contract.
Yeah, and Chester was going to leave, and at the same time, like you said, making cross up with Mark Morton, at the same time posting on Twitter that he doesn't sing like that anymore.
But get this, bro. You're totally right. That incoherence is there. So Friendly Fire and One More Light, they came out at the same time. Whether they were released at different times doesn't matter. They were made at the same time.
Yeah.
So Friendly Fire, One More Light, and Cross Off were made at the same time.
Yeah, it just showed Chester's range, but at the same time, they were pushing a narrative clearly.
But what if part of the reason Chester and Mike had dissonance is because Mike was firmer and more aggressive in his camouflage than Chester wanted to be?
I can see that.
What if
from all of it, I can see that
argument between the two of them, which is at this point undescribed, undefined, what if Chester really wasn't as hurt by the band for the reasons that we think he was at the end, and that really it was more the accumulation of the secret shit that they're undercover for?
Yeah,
that was
they all had different. They all had clearly different journeys. You mentioned our last stream when they all went and made their own songs in the Pro Tools rigs at home, and then put
that was
together.
a Minutes to Midnight thing,
right? Yeah. They all had their own journey. Clearly, your dad was fighting something else, and they were fighting something else. That's what I pick up on it. But the point of me bringing up the whole PolitiFact and all that was the letter that you got that was presented to you that Chester had gotten after his work.
The Tony Rakakis in memoriam. I wanted
to bring that up because that's important.
It is important. Tony Rakakis, the former district attorney of Orange County, California, sent a letter to my family a week after Chester died. It was July 27th. I wouldn't see this letter until I started researching myself in 2022 and found all the stuff on Chester. It was pretty easy to find once you knew what to look for. He thanked Chester for his work with the OCDA in fighting human trafficking. He even coded the message with the letter with a One More Light song called Invisible. And he addressed it to my entire family. And I was like, why did I never see this? This was hidden from me. And
we were really imagine if like Samantha had suggested that we become friends back at that same time. It's like you and I were kept from meeting each other for a reason because we were saying
I think I was kept from meeting a lot of people. Someone like me in the industry is bad news.
Yeah, because it ruins the whole thing, and that's good. It needs to change. We need to reshape it, get people like us in there, remove the abusers from power, not even just the industry, the entire political system.
Yeah, I mean, the only way you can do it is act as a counterforce with your own energy. Like, that's why I do what I do. Is I was aware of the political ties when I came out. That's why when the hackers started hacking my account last year, I was like, thank you so much for pushing me in this direction. You're pushing me to fly by improvision and that's the best way to fly. You know, that's how you tell your true colors, is when you're in the moment and you have no other choice but to be honest.
Yes, and that's the
And
way to do
apologize
it.
if you need to. That's it. And I think that's where they were fucked, is because I think they realized, oh shit, this guy is a surfer. Like, oh no, like we thought this would break them, but it's just making them stronger. You know, it's making them more coherent. And like the longer it goes on, the more credit they get. Like I have more street credit now because of that hacker. So many things have happened since then. Like I have more credit to my name than anybody could have ever fucking hoped for. And I know a lot of people are kicking themselves in the ass for not
I
being as smart as I was being about the situation.
That's an
Well, and
example.
that's the thing, is like, what if Colin just got annoyed and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna talk to this guy because I can't handle lying to him.
Yeah.
Like I can't handle being the guy to be like, to say anything other than the truth. So I'm just gonna hide. I mean, come on, let's think about it. Emily and Colin both said, we are legacies of Linkin Park. We understand the vision. We wanted to help shape it into the future. What if we got a plant from the Warner Music Group entity, the mafia, in Colin, and we have a Scientology plant who is aware of what happened to Chester? Maybe it was a fair game policy that changed the contract, that shifted everything by a couple of years. That wasn't supposed to happen that way. And Emily's like, well, the only way to get back at any of these motherfuckers is to shut the fuck up and drive the plane. So, like, in reality, it's like, you know, she wouldn't say anything against the church. She wouldn't give answers, none of that, because you wouldn't want to give away anything. One, you don't want to outwardly say no to the church, but you already mean it. And two, you would want to keep the band in as high as a position as possible. The more you speak, the less freedom you have.
I just had to ban somebody again.
Oh, it's okay. Some
That's all
people have
right.
their feelings. Yeah.
No, if you're gonna
Um,
talk shit, I've said it again. I said it before, and I'll say it again. You're not welcome here. That's not why I have the chat open.
I appreciate you.
And yes, Gittin is
The
right. You look just like your dad. There's no
That is
denying
true.
that you are 100.
There's no denying.
Chester's admitted
Try
it. So
me,
all
Samantha.
Sam's bullshit. Yeah, fuck you, Samantha. I don't care.
The last point I think I want to make for this conversation is that I saw somebody bring up Machine Shop Records, and I think that that's a great point. It's important to be aware of Machine Shop Records, because what was the first single, guys? The Emptiness Machine. So if the label is Machine Shop Records and it's owned by Mike Shinoda and Bradford Delson, two of the core members of Linkin Park, one who's out in the front, one who's in the back cave, then in reality, every time they say machine, they're talking about the label and its distributor, Warner Music Group.
Emptiness Machine.
The Emptiness Machine. And that's why I also think it's interesting to look back on the lyrics, because for the Emptiness Machine, they say, you know, I just wanted to be part of something, as if it was an apology. And then it's the promises. And what is Living Things about? It's about promises broken. So if living things are what make up the machine, and the machine is the mechanism by which the bullet is fired, the gun, so to speak, from which the gun is fired, and the gun and the machine themselves, the machine and the bullet are the collective totality of 1,000 suns, of the sun, then in reality, you have quite a complex metaphor.
And to add what you said earlier, your father told you to look deeper into this.
He said that I said, what does when they come for me mean? And he said, that's for you to intuit. I'm not going to give you the answer. You need to listen to the song and come up with your own conclusion. I can't tell you any more than that. And he moved on.
I love that.
That's 2010, guys. I was a freshman. I was at the end of my middle school, and I was, well, no, not even, because I was listening to demos. So that would have been, I was doing the car test. That was before it was released. So 2010 it was released. So that was like 2009. That was like the year of Dead by Sunrise that I was hearing this stuff.
Oh yeah, and that you shared a personal story about a certain gathering that year. That was weird. I don't know if you want to
Kids
talk
Choice
about.
Awards, yeah.
Ah, ugh.
We'll call it at 3 hours. I know I wanted to do a shorter one, but this is so easy, man. This is just so
Yeah,
easy talking to you. I
this
don't
is
mind
fun.
it.
I'm having
Let's
fun.
do it until 3 hours and then we'll call it.
I dig. I'm all for it.
All
We're
right.
already almost there.
But yeah, I had gone to the Kids Choice Awards twice. There are photos of me online. One in 2008 and one 2009. So that was perceptive of you. I appreciate you acknowledging my past. I don't remember going to one of them. It's like in my memory, those two events were actually congealed into one Kids Choice Awards. And I remember, you know, that was around Transformers time, right? Because that's Revenge of the Fallen and the original Transformers live
New
action
Divide,
movies. So New Divide and all that, yeah.
which I love
And the
that
big
song, by the way.
facelift.
I love playing the Spider-Man games and swinging around to New Divide for some reason. Don't
I
ask
love
me
that for you.
why,
That sounds actually
but
really cool.
it's been
Such a
that way
vibe.
even since before Chester died. Like I've done that for a
Yeah.
while.
It is a vibe.
It's a vibe.
And that's the thing is like, there's a lot of Hollywood also entrenched in this. And I think that what's really interesting is that Mike chose Scream.
Yeah, of all things.
Think of the
Right, hold
concept
on a
of
second.
Scream
I
in
got
this
you.
situation. Yeah.
The black and white occultic mask.
Hey, there it is.
You know what I mean? Like, I have the one from Scream 6 too. I'm the biggest Scream fan on the planet. I'm friends with Jamie
And you know what
Kennedy and
those
all
movies
that.
are about. So take the plot
Yeah,
of
the
Scream
Gainesville
6.
Ripper.
Take the plot of that movie and then apply the actual like mythological backbone to the real life events of what's happening right now.
Yeah, it's
Do
weird. It's a really
do you see
weird
any
choice.
correlations? I don't know about Scream 6, so you guys have to make up your own decisions on that, but it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, Scream 6 has no plot. I just went over that with Zach Cherry. It's like this happens and this happens and this happens. It's not a good
Oh,
script.
so it's exactly like what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. And
It's a
James
lot of nothing.
Vanderbilt, the 33rd degree Freemason with pictures of kids that aren't his on his Instagram, wrote it. And working with Mike Shinoda on that movie.
That's so interesting, and it's important to apply these energies to the real life situation
And
because they
also,
don't come from a vacuum.
As a Scream fan, the 5 and 6 script-wise are a big slap in the face to fans because not only does Scream 3 take place in 1999, not 2000, but Scream 4 took place in 2010, not 2011. So the script writer literally went out of his way to destroy the lore, knowing damn well what he did.
It sounds like a retcon for the
Sounds
purpose
like-
of hiding things.
Sounds like a Linkin Park thing, what they're doing right now. Interesting how it all
That's
goes
very
hand in
interesting.
hand, and Euphoria tied in with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of it, bro.
All of it.
Makes sense.
All of it. And yeah, so, I feel like there's a lot more to be dug out. I feel like Linkin Park had 7 years to plan this. Mike
Interesting
Shinoda
number.
wrote every word. And the guys, they wrote every word, every melody, everything you're hearing is just what Emily's in that sense, Emily is literally an Alex. But they're playing her up as something else, and she knows that she's taking the smoke for a reason, in my theory. So it'll be interesting to see which one drops next because there are tons of lyrics that have been released. I'm curious to know because if you play Empty Machine or if you play the way that the two songs are now when people do their single tracks, when they do their single releases, they do about 3 or 4. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll release the single, then they'll release the single with the new single, or vice versa, the new single with the old single below it, and then more.
Dave McCuca, my good buddy at Surf 97.3 DJ, great dude, has had our music on regular rotation, sent me a screenshot of what Zach Myers said. And he said, stop giving this dude a platform. That's what he said.
Stop giving me a platform?
Yeah, fuck you, Zach Myers.
Yeah, hey, Zach Myers. Fuck you.
You waited this whole podcast to say
you can't have it. If you want to take it from me, you can come pry it from my cold, dead hands.
Which isn't going to happen. We're going to protect
it's not going to happen
with our life.
I'm always alive and I'm always dead. I'm the master of my own demise. You can go ahead and take whatever you want from me, but you're going to have to come get it. And you're going to have to take it.
Yeah. No,
and I'll tell you something, man.
He thinks because he's in Shinedown, he's a keyboard warrior. Shut up.
Yeah, well, I'm shining down on you right now. In the least condescending way possible. You should really watch the things you say about people you don't know. And if you're going to talk big, you might as well stand up and say it with your chest. Come say it to my fucking face. And if you want to take my platform for me, you can go ahead. We can shake hands on it. Try. Go ahead. Thanks a lot, Shinedown. I hope the guys in the band keep him fucking. Holy sh! What is that? Is this the snickerdoodle thing?
Hi, G.
It's hot and everything. Oh my god. Yeah, I get treats for saying shit like this. Go fuck yourself. Try me if you dare. And if you do, don't be fucking sad when you get your ass kicked.
Metaphorically.
Of course. I'm
Just
a
have to
psychic.
clarify. We don't want anybody taking anything you say out of context here.
We would never want them to do that again.
Again,
And
yeah. Fuck all that.
I think that it's true. I said it with Mike. I'll say it for you. Okay, buddy? So we can talk real plainly about it, because I don't believe in hiding things and being silly like that. I believe in standing out there naked. You saw me show fucking colors at the Linkin Park concert, you prick. And if you didn't, maybe you should. Anyways, all the violence I'm talking about is mental. You guys want to play mental warfare on people? You guys want to take advantage of people? Great. I'm right here, and I'm playing on the opposite side. I'm coming for you. If you have shit to talk about, you can go ahead and meet me on the remix. You can go ahead and meet me in the forum. We can go ahead and talk it down like a debate. In fact,
Like
I
adults.
challenge you. I challenge you, homie. You want to come fuck with me? I'll hold an interview with you. Come take it. Come talk to me why you think that I don't deserve this, why I'm doing it wrong. You can go ahead and tell me everything that you think. I'll hold the space for you. You go ahead and run the whole fucking thing down for me. Let's see how much you actually know about what's going on. Let's see who your friends are. Let's see who you've embedded yourself in and what you've embedded yourself in. Come talk to me. I have a series called Interviews Underground. And anybody in the industry, whether you like me or not, if you want to come and talk to me, anybody in Chester's life, if you don't like me or not, come talk to me. I got 5 interviews going right now. I have one at the end of the month. I'm going deep into the 90s scene. If you want to come and you want to tell me what you think of me, come do that. But come say it to my face. Don't do that pussy ass shit where you go ahead and talk fucking nonsense on social media and never back up your claims. I challenge you to a duel. Show up on my podcast or not. It's up to you.
Damn right.
How's that?
That was perfect. That couldn't have been better. And Crimson Autumn Rose said, "Shine down, ... way down."
Way down.
Well,
it certainly is way down. I mean, I'm the sun up here floating in space, and I don't know what to tell you on Earth. Like, fucking, I'm shining way the fuck down by like 1,000,000 miles, buddy. And you're still gonna feel that shit. I don't have to touch nobody. I ain't gonna touch nobody. I'm not a physically violent person.
Yeah.
I'm just intelligent. And so, if you want to, what did Mike say?
A battle of wits.
My mama taught me words. My daddy built rockets. I put them both together, and I tell you what, I got it. It's a pretty smart weapon. You could shoot it, you could drop it, but learn to get with it, because clearly you can't stop it like that. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Give me the strength of the rising sun. Give me the strength of the words unsung. And when the poor man sings, the last bells ring, bring me to kingdom come. Go fuck yourself.
I love you. You're great. All I hear.
I love you, Daddy.
All I hear is your dad when you sing. That's all I hear. He's coming
Good.
through.
I hope they all see me, and I hope they're shaking in their boots. And I hope
should
that
be.
if Linkin Park is doing something smarter, like I'm saying they are, that they genuinely acknowledge me at the end, because this is what I asked for. Let's see if you're going to hold your word or not.
I want to read these lyrics to you from Zero to the Grave. It goes into all of this.
Yeah, please. Let's hear it.
So this is written by fictional character Jackson Marquise. So if anybody wants to reach out for any sort of litigation, which you can't sue a fictional character, you can email Mike Shinoda killedchesterb@gmail.com. From Zero to the Grave. Fuck you, Mike.
And hold on. If Mike didn't do it, now he has the opportunity to clarify.
Yeah, he does. Doors open, Mike.
Doors open, right. Mike. If you want to come on my podcast, you're also welcome.
Yeah, he was following you when we did our stream. I paid attention.
That's an invitation.
I saw it. I'm a witness.
If you want to come, if any of you and LP want to come talk to me one-to-one on my podcast about what you think of me and what I'm doing and what you think you're doing, feel free to do so. My door is open. You're always invited, and you can go ahead and ignore me, but you can't say I didn't tell you.
Who's this Omar guy? Is he talking shit? Do I have to ban him too?
That's all
yeah, I gotta ban him too. You're not welcome here. All right, here's the lyrics, and this is great. Like,
I'm
who are they to
literally
say?
gonna eat
Who
it
are
up.
they to say what Chester would want? They're like, literally, I'm speaking to his firstborn child. Like, shut the fuck up. I've said it. I'll say it again. Shut the fuck up. Here
I
it
love these
is.
people.
From zero to the grave. Fuck you, Mike Shinoda. Fuck you, Scientology. Fuck you, Emily and Gail Armstrong. Fuck you, Linkin Park. You are not Linkin Park. Linkin Park died with Chester almost 8 years ago because the album takes place in 2025. Falafel Dragon and Prophets of the Future.
Okay.
But his soul roams the earth and is here to haunt you, motherfuckers. From zero to the grave. Worse than any mercenary, you return with the worst pick. You ride the coattails of Scientology. It's a big fat dick. You got nothing to say. This world, you got nothing to say. This world has exposed you. The disrespect has been paid. Wire-eyed with the lies, destroying the success you have made. You were thinking dark, so you thought you could go to Linkin Park, spelt like Abe Lincoln. There's a reference there, but be accepted for your master.
Ooh, Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter movie?
Not that. Linkin Park, the MK Ultra facility.
No, but you know that they did.
That's a great movie.
Powerless for that movie, right?
Wait, what?
Which is they did Powerless.
The song I didn't know
actually,
that.
Yeah, that was used to promote Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Slayer. So you actually had like a triple entendre in there just for you. You didn't even know you touched it.
Yeah, didn't even know. But again, his soul roams the earth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, you thought you could go to Linkin Park, but be accepted for your master space sin support. Just a few years back, only unfollowed him. This blew up. That is straight facts. Got nothing to say. Got nothing to say. Your cult sucked it out of all your funds. Why? But this today, because you have no balls. The Bixlers were so right calling out this mess. So you label me a suppressive person. You're the what's in debt to the lies of the sinking Tao, but you won't make it out. Radical members of your cult pushing LP fans like it's about what it was before, but it will never be. Who gives a fuck now about a cover band denying the facts, just like a lie right in front of your eyes?
Yeah,
it happens. It happens to be fate. It happens to be on this date. From zero to the grave, we will take them down right now. They are involved in the cover-up of the murders of Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell and so many other people that have been betrayed by these cults who work together with corporate interests in mind. They do not believe in mental illness and they just want to make us all go goodbye so they can rule the earth while we die. Fuck those motherfuckers. They are a cult. They are a cult, not a religion. Shut them all down to death, motherfucker. Don't be in doubt.
I like that. That's so fuck you, and it's wonderful.
It had to be. And again, a fictional character, Jackson Marquise, wrote it. So you can reach out to the fictional character.
Bro, you're schizophrenic, dude.
Nah, it's
bro. You're
performance
schizo,
art.
bro.
Yeah, right. No,
yeah, that's
people
a figment of your imagination. You just gave them life. You're a freak.
Jamie, the very same type of people did that to me when I started Falafel Dragon, and it's performance art. Somebody I've had on this podcast who's great, still my friend, Alex Hernandez, who played Lincoln Clay in Mafia 3. And there's missions about in that game.
I saw that one. I saw that interview.
Great. Thank you for watching that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And like he pretty much is the biggest fan of Falafel Dragon, understands the performance art and everything.
I would love to meet that guy. He seemed like such a cool
I'll
dude.
Connect you guys. I'll send him
this
interview.
He just like your interview with him. He was so chill.
Dude, he fucking I had an idea of calling a song on the next Falafel Dragon double part the continuum. We're gonna kill off Jackson Marquise at the very beginning, pull like a Death of Slim Shady.
Oh, awesome.
But I wanted to call a song Lincoln Clay. Right? Linkin Clay. And then he tells me that's his game handle in a fucking video game.
Bro, get out of here.
Yeah, then I told him I'm
what a cool dude.
Yeah, Alex is the shit. Shout out to Alex Hernandez. We love you, man.
Shout out to Alex. And shout out to Alex. I'm so sorry, Alex, that Brad is allowing is literate. Brad has done Alex so bad, in my opinion. I have lyrics here I want to end on. Okay. I'll share with some of my nemesis prototypes.
Cool.
But to bring it back to Alex, like I had in Steph's, maybe it was Steph, maybe it was the one before that, but like, I'm so sorry that Brad is on in all the music videos, on all the promotion, and you're the one out there literally playing for him. Like, I know that you're a session musician, and I know that it might seem like I'm picking favorites or something, but for real, like I understand you're not just putting, your time and effort into it, you're putting your heart into it, and to be so like thrown to the side and discarded by one of the biggest bands in the world is so weird. I understand that on all levels, especially because they're still amping you up. They're still like, this is my guy. But like, how can you be their guy? You're not even on the promo material. You should be. In my opinion, if Colin and Emily are up there and they wrote all the music beforehand, then you should definitely be in the marketing for that. So I'm sorry that you're not. While you were reading your lyrics, which I thought were awesome, I was like, oh, dude, I've just been sending myself lyrics. So I'm going to read some of my prototypes. They're not sequenced. They're not tied together. What I do is I just write the song title and then I just throw whatever poem down that I have. So my first little poem was, these are symptoms of sick in society. I will not stand by idling. I thought that was pretty hard, but I was really trying to go for like a kind of rhyme there. Nemesis, part 2 was, I thought of Kendrick, that everybody likes to do the, I remember when you was conflicted. As I said, I remember when I was conflicted as a child, so tired. Wake up, get up, do things, lay down, go to sleep. Rolling circles take me through days. Procession of time mythologized in the memory of mine. But nothing is and nothing was. Losing what I have is a wound. Licking mine, crimson bleeding through my thoughts, feelings of true. I remember affliction. Part 3 was, I want the change that I seek more than I want to die from the pain of this living. You're all fucked. This is so sane as insanity. Because it's true. I'd rather fight for this more than anything else. And that's what makes me have that edge that I have, because there are so many things about just the context of the situation that would scare most people shitless. And I'm over here like, I will literally die. Go ahead, kill me. Let's go. No, like, you throw out my life. Let's walk then.
Yeah. Just
and then my last
there
one
to be force returned. It's not going to happen. Jamie's protected. Don't fuck with Jamie.
We reciprocate.
Because then you're fucking with all of us, just like you fucked with Chester. Now you're fucking with all of us.
I did this one to Mike. This is my last one. I actually wrote this one right before. Like literally as I was pulling up to my house, I was like, I'm getting on. That's when I did this. I wrote, my gun is the mechanism of the process, and I is the bullet. I pulled the trigger so long in the past, I've been flying for years. The tears, the fears, the lies. He said, be careful what you aim for. You might hit it. Trust me, I get it.
That is some beautiful, deep metaphor, right?
I can't wait to tie them all together, because when they're all tied together, it's going to be like, but like, leave it to me to be like, I'm writing a song called Nemesis. And then literally it just be about how I'm my own worst enemy and I'm the standard I live for.
Facts.
And how the downfall of you is going to be the glow up of me. It's going to be me being more accountable, more interactive, more reciprocative, more counterforce energy being brought to the table. Like, the worst part of that about this, the worst part of me is you, because you are everything I don't want to be. So in every step I take, I'm going to make sure I cement myself along the path of perfect self-harmony, so I don't have to ever turn out to be a self-fulfilling prophecy in the negative way. I don't want to be like you. I will kill myself before I become like you.
And don't take that out of context either, listeners.
Don't do it. Don't do it, because I will clarify every time.
If you try to clip that, we're going to use this clip in return. Right. So
by the way,
also, I do not consent to anybody using this interview or any of my other interviews without my permission, because this is my platform. Yeah. So
thanks. You guys can use all of mine, but when I'm on somebody else's platform, you have to listen to them.
Sorry.
No, it's okay, because I use my platform.
I mean, our friends can clip it, but the evil people out there talking shit can't.
Well, I think it's important for me to distinguish, because my platform, my Picture Pieces archive, it's developed specifically so that it can hold me accountable and the people in my life accountable. So for me, feel free to take anything I say, my Instagram highlights and stories that I post in real time, and also my YouTube live streams and all that. You guys can have free access to that. But when I'm on other people's shows, you better respect their rules. Yeah. If Joe says don't use my podcast without my permission, you call him, you ask him for permission. Yes. You don't just try to find a loophole where you're like, well, Jamie said this isn't my show. This isn't my archive.
And
It'll go in the archive, but this is Joe's show, guys.
I'll reiterate it. You know, our friends can clip this, all the good parts. I'm fine with that. I'm talking about these people that have been coming in the chat, calling us crazy when we're not. We're the most coherent people. They're only making themselves look crazy. So I don't understand it, but at the same time, it's just some shit I got to say, because otherwise, if I don't, it's not said. You know,
absolutely. I hear you.
And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming here. And as for the cover album, stay tuned for that, everybody. We're going to be working on some really cool stuff. We're going to find a way to incorporate the community as well. So if you want to...
I'm also... one more thing. Yeah. There was the cover band album, but I'm also working on a 2-part album called 143. I have an album after that, and I have an EP that I'm working on with G, which includes Nemesis. Cool. And then on top of all of that, I am doing a parody project called Dead Chester, and it's in resistance to the Church of Scientology and all this bullshit that Linkin Park is doing. And I didn't ask you to formally be a part of it, but I am now, because it just didn't come up in the cover band conversation and all that. So
yeah, no, I'm down.
It is a cover band.
I mean, you know, I've already made songs calling this shit out, so I have no problem with it.
I think it would be awesome to do that. And I want to try to see if Cedric will get in on it.
That'd be cool.
No, there are some other people who wouldn't mind getting some anger out, you know, letting some of that energy exist on its own, you know? And I call it Dead Chester because that's the band. The band's name is in reference to Dead Sarah, which is where Emily came from.
I just got that. That's great.
Yeah. I think, you know,
who's Sarah, by the way? Who died?
Who is Sarah? And also, by the way, if anybody wants to help, we are researching the drummer who died by suicide and was a member of Dead Sarah.
Oh, interesting.
Somebody didn't talk about that very much, and we should uncover that. Yep, we should definitely ask the question, who is that person and why did that happen?
Also, shout out to Aaron Smith-Levin for giving you a great interview as well on growing up in Scientology.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, for having me on your show. That was actually really cool. And a lot of things happened very quickly, and I'm glad that they did. I'm glad that there are people willing to seize the opportunity in the least scummy way possible. And it's nice to be heard and have this opportunity. But with that being said, I do have to jump off. I appreciate you having me. I appreciate all the stuff we've talked about. And
me too. Thank you, Jamie.
It's good to know you, Joe.
Likewise. I'm always going to be here, man.
Yeah, I feel that.
Speaking of that, people respect the pronouns, damn it. If Jamie wants to be called they, respect it.
If you can, if it's something that you are able to do, some people aren't. It's really hard to do that. But, you know, I'm not going to take it offensively. But if you're going to be offensive about it, of course, I'll have something to say. A lot of people have been genuine about it. I don't think it enters most people's minds when they're talking about it because of the situation.
Brian Burns is still here. Aw.
Oh, thanks, Brian.
You would love Brian's stuff. He goes under a project called Dad Soda, and he came because his last name is Burns. His first song is called Simpsons Thermos, The Lottery, and it took me a while to get it, you know, Mr. Burns. And I sent it. I was like, oh, you fucker, I get it. And he sends me the fucking gift excellent back, and it was the greatest thing ever.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, if you like,
you should take yourself seriously.
Yeah, no, it's great. Dad Soda is the shit. It's dad music for non-dads yet.
Yeah, that would be awesome. You should send me some of these links because I don't know about some of this.
Yeah, maybe Brian can work on this with us too.
Yeah, let's see. There's always a place for someone.
Damn
Whether
right.
you want to throw an ad lib out or lay down a guitar line or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's pretty easy.
Damn right.
Just show up and go, ooh, yeah, and it's good enough. It's fine.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to have a conversation, you know, offline. And
yeah. If you want to stay in for a minute afterwards, I'll close it out and then we can chat for a minute.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Dreaming Insomniacs, the podcast. This has been our best episode with pee break included. We love you all. Thank you, Jamie.
Would you believe it? I have to pee again.
Me too.
Oh.
But what I will say is we should do this again. We should.
This was really fun.
There's more to be said.
It's been a couple of months in the making. But if any of you are interested in seeing what our original conversation was when we met, feel free to go to my Instagram. It's one of my reels. I call it it's one of my Instagram pop-ups. Some of the Instagram lives that we do are extensions of meditations that started on YouTube Live. And so, you know, just feel free to browse. We had a really interesting conversation. Joe has a history that's exceptionally interesting and tied directly into everything that's going on as a survivor. And he talked about it there.
In code, because I had to be
Yeah,
careful.
you talked in code for sure.
Yeah, I know.
What was the word?
How the fuck did I survive 27?
You accidentally entangled with me.
Clearly, I'm not that important to them, which is fine.
Yeah, I
with
would
me.
say that what they did to you was, by its nature, a discard.
I can prove it.
I believe you.
I can prove it. I'll tell you more after this, but we don't
you.
have to go on about that right now.
Have a nice day, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and go look at our original conversation on my Instagram and my YouTube now. It's both places.
It says FaceTime with the Dreaming Insomniacs record.
Does.
It's almost at 30,000 views. I can't believe that.
Hopefully this will get as much, yeah?
Hopefully. We'll see. They like to shadow ban me on YouTube, and I have to put money into it, but we'll see. Hopefully this one does well. I got more people in the chat than ever. 20,000 people are watching. That's what Sandy Gelfound did for me, and then it got 24,000 views. She put some good sigil magic in there.
I love it.
Me too. Well, I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for watching. This has been the Dreaming Insomniacs, the podcast.
Bye, guys. See ya.